A very good evening, everybody. Nice to have your company wherever you're tuning in all around Australia or indeed the world. On the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Nice to have you along for the ride this Monday evening, the 22nd of April. And our coverage of night one of week 2 in term 2 of the season for the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. First up tonight, we're going to take you to the Chicago Street Circuit in Illinois for the second round of the Super 2 and Super 3 series. Then, of course, on to the Circuit de la Sarthe, Le Mans, France. 90 minutes of GT3 action coming your way for waste options, and we're looking forward to that immensely. This circuit, of course, new to the server, and, well, not as new to the server as it is to real-world motorsport. Of course, it launched in the sim world and then became a real-world thing. 22 degrees, the ambient, 27 the on-track temperature at 9:30 in the morning, and that is, of course, Eastern Daylight Time over there in the United States. They do observe that progressive and civilized concept, as we all know. 3.41 kilometers this circuit, which equates to, well, it's around about that 2 and a bit mile marker. 25% the humidity factor there. There's 9 kilometre an hour winds. Set fair for a good fast night of racing, but being a concrete canyon, it is fraught with danger. And we've already seen some people coming unstuck in qualifying. Another extraordinary field tonight. 39 cars have set, or at least attempted to set a time in qualifying here. 39 cars have been out on the circuit. Jaden Green leads the championship on the back of an extraordinary win last week. A very well put together race at the Winter Motor Raceway in northeastern Victoria to hold sway over Damien Cairns, 56 points, Tim Nicol, 54, and Stephen Varga, 50. Harrison Colville makes up the top 5. Not a hugely stacked field in Super 3 at the moment, but Mark McNamara leads the way, 63 plays, Tom Williams 55, and Pete Matson 52, with Greg Spencer and Jared Gilbert making up the top 5. Grid for tonight, it sees Jason Spriggs alongside Greg Favell, order restored at the top end of town with Favell back in business. Sebastian Spicer, Tim Nicol, second row, Angus Lawford and Jake Slade, third row, Will Buchanan and Kurt Chapman, fourth row, Brenda Griffiths and Stephen Varga, fifth row. Sixth row, Michael Hammond and Dane Snadden. Seventh row, Jason Scholar and Alan Gill. Eighth row, Jackson Rayhana and Mark McNamara. Ninth row, Sean Vandermeulen and Kevin Coleman. 10th row, Adam Proctor and Greg Brooks. 11th row, David Christensen and Daniel Snedden. There you go. So we've got a Dane Snadden and a Daniel Snedden. That's going to be fun, isn't it? Joe Baldwin and Chris Stark from row 12. Sam Stride, Jack Humphreys from row 13. Nick Vadialis, Wayne Visser from 14. Brian Tagle and Liam Miles from 15. We keep on going. Liam Amos and Chris Tomlin before Greg Spencer and Bevan Moyes. David Lawler and Colin Bennett from row 18. Greg Padgett and Jordan Ferguson to make up the...
On the plus side, you've only got the...
So we're ready to fire on a Monday night. It is nice to have you along for the ride on the back of a big weekend of real-world motorsport right across the board. We now get set to resume hostilities in the sim world. As I said, 25 minutes here first up and 90 second up. The 2 race program for you this evening, and a bit of continent hopping to be done in the process. And I might just say as well, there'll be irrespective of however many complaints there are from drivers to the stewards room and race control tonight, there will be one from central commentary asking to bump the start back to 7:35 so that we can watch home and away before the broadcast gets underway, but that's another story. We'll get to that later on. Getting set for start, night 2 of the season for the Super 2 and Super 3 Championship. Our first straight course of the season. Look at the traffic jam already on the run down towards the first quarter. And already, trouble. Knew that was coming. Greg Favell got some help. And then that concrete. And it's a log jam. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars stacked up. Favell in trouble early on. And he, of course, missed last week's outing. Disaster for the man that finished second in last season's championship. Beautiful start, Michael Hammond, up 7 spots already. Up 7 spots in half a lap is Mikey. Into 4th place. Stephen Varga to 5th and Alan Gilders 6th up 8 spots, but by G. Adam Lavis, good evening to you. There will be a case to be answered for with regards to that first corner incident.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it looked like Greg might just locked the rears himself. I'll have to look at the replay a bit later on, but he's pitched inside there, and after another traditional bad start from Greg, unfortunately, and it's come off very good. Also, one of the trick fix cars there got no bonnet as well, so been a bit of a kerfuffle at the start, but at least now they're trying to get themselves through this concrete canyon.
So Damien Cairns watching on from the sideline tonight, and Greg Favell in trouble early. This championship already shaken, rattled and stirred, turned on its lid. 1.5 minutes gone, lap 2 underway. Jason Spriggs the leader from Jake Slade, Tim Nicol, Michael Hammond and Stephen Varga for a top 5. 3 wide down the main straight. Trouble coming onto the main straight. There's a car pointing in the wrong direction. This is so very well fraught with danger, this circuit. The apexes are blind. The runoff area is non-existent. The concrete is waiting for the first person to make a mistake. And as you've already seen, it's easy enough to block the circuit and back the pack up. Didn't get a safety car there, so there is a big discrepancy between the front and the rear of the field in the early stages here on the streets of Chicago.
Pretty sure Jason's he's got a broken car, he's trying to race it back. It's might not end well.
I don't think so. Look at him, crabbing all over the place. Jackson Rayhana, it's a developing story. Out comes Greg Favell, out comes Jason Scholar. Those guys back out onto the racetrack. Sebastian Spicer also transited the lane on the opening lap. It's all happening here. Very early on. Bit like last week. Action aplenty. Stephen Varga down the inside to get by Michael Hammond. And pull clear of Michael Hammond on the run down to turn 1. Good to see Barney in position. Hopefully, unlike Thursday night, the prick does his job tonight. Anyway, Jason Spriggs, Jake Slade, Tim Nicol, Stephen Varga, and Michael Hammond, the top 5. This is Monday Night Motorsport on the platform for the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Night 1 of week 2 of term 2 for the season. And what does that make it? Season 17 for the club, which is quite extraordinary. Great numbers we're racking up here. Members are plenty, as you saw last week. Grid stacked all over the place. I mean, sure, Formula V was a little bit disappointing, but the fields everywhere else, very, very promising. Look at the amount of damage already racked up by this field. That Caltech's Haviland entry is looking very much worse for wear. Sam Stride it is. Mark McNamara in behind him. Back we go to Chris Stark in 17. He started that next train at cars.
Clicked on the wrong locked up Sinsford car.
Yeah. Oh dear. Around they come on the main straight. Starkey and Vizza. Vizza now in 20th. Chasing Stride. Lost a little bit of ground there. Jason Spriggs leads 4.47 seconds. The advantage already, and Stephen Varga the pit lane. So already pit lane activity after 3 laps. And we are looking at 1 minute 25 per lap time around here. So 2 minutes 55, 48, 38.5 minutes gets you 6 laps by my numbers, which means something about 6 laps in 8.5 minutes. 3 by 8 is 24, so 16, 18. 18 laps, maybe 19 once the pit lane transit has come and gone.
No, you're right. You did get a bump.
Yeah, he did. He definitely got a bump.
Yeah, Tim Nicol. That's where Tim Nicol's bonnet went.
No, I'm going to sit on 18, Adam. I'm going to sit on 18. 8.5 times 3 is 25.5. That takes us into overtime plus the pit stop. 18 laps is where we're going tonight. I'm fairly confident.
There's actually a couple of Anzac tributes out there. Greg has one as well. It's a bit hard to see because he's in the pits. And also, Scholar had one as well, but he's also out of the race. So it hasn't gone well for the Anzac tribute livery.
It certainly has not. And of course,
Oh!
it is one of the most.
There's the other one.
Trouble!
That's the other
Into
one.
the wall and gone. Contact Kevin Coleman. Got into the side of that car that's found the wall, and that's that. Baldwin down the inside. He's able to pull it up. Very nicely done from Joe. Coleman relegated twice. Back to 14th, and will be accounted up to 13th now.
I was about to say Stucky's doing well. His car was still one piece. He just scraped the wall. Just before I get the words out. What is going on here? Jackson's missed the pit entrance.
So that just sums up the night really. The car crabbing that badly, he's had to have a second crack at getting into pit entry. Kurt Chapman in 6th place at the moment. Hammond dragging that train along of 5. Hammond is 4th.
I guess at the
Steele, Chapman, Snadden, and Lawford the top, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, I should say, Adam.
Project 36 guys having a great run here. You got 6th, 8th, and 9th. That's back to 7th, 8th, 9th now. But that's a very good run for the team.
Indeed it is. So we continue to keep an eye on these guys because this is the closest battle on the track behind them down in 11th. Daniel Snedden, Joe Baldwin will be counted, Kevin Coleman and Chris Stark are probably worth keeping an eye on as well. As far as pit lane is concerned and the time is concerned, we have a look at that for you. Greg Padgett's on pit, has got back out after being on pit lane at the end of lap 4. He's now a lap down. Jason Scholar's out of business. Greg Faveld, Sebastian Spicer, and Jackson Rayhana may as bloody well be. Because once you lose the lap around here, Adam, forget about it, especially in a race this short. But yes, we were talking about Anzac Day, one of the most poignant, special, symbolic days on our calendar. It's coming up on Thursday. We will have a special Anzac Day edition of Thursday Night Motorsport for you with the V's and the Super Formula Lights in action. I won't be bringing that one to you because I'm on my way to Wagga via Wollongong this weekend. So, and Josh Juno just pointing out that his squad also have a special tribute out there tonight as well. But yes, Anzac Week on the platforms of the GSRC across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. And don't forget, if you can, get out to a dawn service or an Anzac Day march on Thursday. It's the least we can do to play our part in that amazing day. And of course, 3 games of NRL and 2 games of AFL to look forward to as well. So it's such an iconic day. The 109th anniversary of the Gallipoli landing, which means next year will be nothing short of massive, being A, a Friday, leads into a long weekend, and B, the 110th anniversary celebrations. We all remember how big the 100th anniversary celebrations and commemorations were. 15 minutes to go here, 10 minutes gone. Alan Geel, the leader of this battle pack at the moment, trying to reel in Michael Hammond, but all of a sudden it looks like Hammond's got himself the smallest bit of breathing space. An inch is as good as a mile around here. So Geel brings Snadden, Lawford and Griffiths along as in comes Tim Nicol to pit lane. The end of lap 7. A little bit tamer than I was expecting it to be. Again, probably because of the lap 1 incident. Alan Geel, the door flung open.
Oh,
Walker goes through. Doesn't wait for a second invitation. Snadden barely kept it off the wall. Snadden barely kept it off the wall. Wow. was hairy. That was close. I don't envy whoever's in race control tonight, Adam Levis. Just quietly. Le Mans will be fun when we get there. Oh, Adam Proctor, Meat Concrete. Christensen, Van der Meulen, and Ferguson to pit lane. Humphreys, Isles have already been there. Lawler's back in. And now, oh, Hammond. Michael Hammond's on the tow rope. What on earth has happened here? Michael Hammond on the tow rope. This is a race-defining moment. And was there contact? No, he's just pulled to one side and said, that's it, I'm out. Wow. Holy smoke. Greg Padgett also back on the lane as well. Now, Hammond's got back out there.
No, this is before. This is before that.
So this is this was...
spin exit.
Oh. Oh, no. So he just got in, just got the fast repair, and then curtains. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Replay of Mark McNamara pointing the wrong way. With Bevan Moyes. Uh-oh, another roadblock.
It was Sam Stride.
Yep. 1, 2, 3. What are these? It's like these boys are trying to get a safety car around here. Sam Stride. Uh-oh. Yep. Had to see that happening.
At least the service truck's right there for him.
Well, that's right. The wheel banging. Oh, no.
That would have ended well.
No. Actually, just have a look at how many people are. Him is Ferguson, Griffiths, Amos, Stride, Stark, Nickel, McNamara, Lawler, Padgett, all on pit road. Michael Hammond's parked up and exited stage left. He's done. Greg Favell's still hanging on, but Greg's night's done. 8.5 minutes in pit lane puts you third race distance behind, which means, yeah, you're not going to be classified. Wow. And that's Angus Lawford coming unstuck. This is just going to be replay after replay for a little while, folks. Ferguson locking it up, crabbing it into the wall. Daniel Bond asking a very good question, but there's something to be said about blind spots. There's something to be said about thinking you're clear and then being proven wrong. There's something to be said about underestimating how quickly the oncoming traffic is arriving on the scene. So, some game-changing moments here, folks.
Leader is in.
Jason Spriggs to pit lane. Jake Slade inherits the lead for the moment. 2 rounds, 2 different winners on track here because, well, top 2 from last week. There's nothing. They did not arrive tonight. Damien Cairns watching from the sideline. His teammate Greg Padgett parked up with no Jaden Greens. Week on, week off. Liam Amos not pulling off the drift work successfully there. Just remind me and everybody at home, Adam Lavis, it's the AM split for GT3 tonight, is it not?
That is correct.
There we go.
We've got
Just around tonight.
3
minutes.
3 Enduros for the season, so they're only poignant to give them at least one of them. And I assume that the pro guys would like to represent the Nordschleife, so left us with the one option.
riding on board with Chapman. And you can see how tight and narrow this circuit is in parts.
That particular corner there.
That is the big discrepancy of this circuit, isn't it, Adam? I'll let you elaborate on this. That is the big discrepancy in this circuit. Some parts of the real estate are a lot wider and others are far narrower. There's a huge discrepancy there.
Yeah, there's a lot of 90-degree corners here, but none of them are really the same. They all sort of have slightly different radiuses. Especially that one over at the back there when you come over the first bridge. It's probably the tightest corner on the track. And then, especially in these cars, going around that fountainy section in the middle of the track there, you can't really go full power in these high horsepower rear-wheel drive cars because there's all those bumps there. You're just going to lose it. So you got to find your way. You got a perm-oil car around. Look out! I think that was Viz.
I think he's going to get the run on the inside here, Chapman. Chapman looking to get up on the inside. Does so. Gets by Alan Geel. Next target, Stephen Varga. These guys are 20 seconds off. Jason Spriggs, the leader of the pack on corrected order. Jake Slade and Dane Snadden yet to stop. Until now, Slade is in. 7.5 minutes gone, 8.5 to go. They start lap 13 with 7.5 minutes on the clock.
So currently the L is the lap they pitted on. That's their pitting lap.
Yes.
So the ones with nothing there means they haven't pitted yet.
So Wayne Viz is one of those. So Viz is one of those. Snadden and Slade, Slade was one until just now. Snadden the other. Everybody else, it would appear as though they have transferred the lane. So just Vizza and Snadden to come. Varga under pressure here. Oh, he got a touch too. He got some help from Chapman through the corner. Geel's still there as well. Varga fighting to hold on for fourth place for dear life. Tony Baker pointing out a good point, but that is just trademark street racing, isn't it, boys? You arrive here and it's like a random lucky door prize. And it usually brings the top end of the tree and some significant big names and contenders within it undone. It's done just that and more tonight. It's extraordinary. Nick Fodiatis up 9 spots, Greg Spencer up 13, Bevan Moyes up 10, Colin Bennett 11. The biggest mover of the night, Mr. Ryan Taggle up 15 spots from 29th to 14th, and Joe Baldwin up from 23rd to 9th. And Dane Snadden now pits at the end of lap 13. Jason Spriggs re-inherits the lead. There are 5 laps to go by my numbers.
So this angle is probably the best one to show you just how bumpy this track is.
Yeah. I hope so, by the way. Because really, I don't know the pit lane transit time. So we'll keep an eye on that. But Jason Spriggs next time by the line. Should be 4 laps to go. Driving past a McDonald's apparently on this circuit, are we? 5 minutes to go. Got my eyes on Jason Spriggs, remembering 1 minute 25, 1 minute 24 is the area we're looking at the moment.
The second last corner is sponsored by McDonald's. It's like the McDonald's stickers all over it.
Copy. So we're looking at Jason Spriggs. If we can go and have a look at where Spriggs is on the racetrack and just watch him come around to the start-finish line. He's only got a couple of corners to run. There it is, McDonald's there. Very nicely done. I've been that busy looking at the lap board and the totem pole, I haven't had a chance yet to enjoy the view. Down the main straight, across the start-finish line, 4 minutes 22 on the clock. Oh, it's touch and go. It is so touch and go. Now that they're running a minute 27 a lap, a minute 27 a lap is, 4 minutes 21. I reckon that the pace has slowed down enough that it's going to deny us an 18th lap. Oh, trouble. That's Dane Snadden. bringing undone all his very hard work.
He's lost 4 spots there. 5 spot.
Did well. Now, this isn't necessarily good news either, ladies and gentlemen. We've just had an early arrival into the commentary.
Oh, that's not good.
Now, oh, trouble! That's Liam Miles. Liam Miles into the wall. Big time. Why do race drivers use non-military talk? Surely it was already known, it was invented. Just curious as to, okay. Daniel Bond asking us to go back to the battle for third. We've done that. Ryan Tegel has dropped by the commentary box far too early for the sake of it. We were just singing his praises being up 15 spots. Now, all of a sudden, he's on pit road +3 and not likely to come back out onto the racetrack. We'll get to him in a moment. As a Brian saying that he couldn't race due to work commitments, but Alan Gilles holding the team forward up very, very nicely. Round onto the main straight. Another lap gone. Yeah, I get this nasty feeling that this race is going to be curtailed 1 lap short of that expected 18 lap distance because the pace has slowed to about 127.5. That's how close the crossover was, the 3-4 seconds we had there. As I said, 18 laps was about 25 and a half minutes. As Dane Snadden went back to pit lane as well.
Yeah, he's got focus steering.
Greg Brooks highlighting what everybody else is thinking, that it was a rough race tonight. Bang. And that was with transfer through pit lane time as well. But the pace has then slowed, and therefore I think Jason Spriggs sees the white flag this time by. But I hope I'm wrong, but I think the last feeling that this is only going to go 17 laps. It's all right when you guesstimate with the pace at the time, but when that pace changes and the pit lane transit ends up being as long as it was, those numbers do change. Now he's got across the line. Has he seen the white flag? Can we have a look at the starters rostrum? As Stephen Varga, Joe Baldwin, etc. head towards the last corner, round onto the main straight. No white flag. So Spriggs has actually got there by the skin of his teeth. Spriggs has got this to 18 by the skin of his teeth. He's a minute from the checkered flag. He's a minute from the culmination of regular time. Oh, scrape of the wall, bang! Kurt Chapman rubbing the concrete. Under pressure from Alan Gilles. Gilles with a lunge down the inside. Big lunge down the inside, couldn't get it done. Another scrape of the wall for Chapman. Forget about this, really. I mean, if anyone's got a 0x tonight, I'll be pleasantly surprised.
Well,
if anyone's got through the clean race, I'm pleasantly surprised.
The thing is, though, Zach, when it's street circuits, a lot of the wall contacts are 0x's. They don't give you a lot of actual x's for the wall contacts unless it's actually pretty hard.
Interesting.
So sometimes you can have a totally bombed up car like some of these guys and still have a 0x race.
Righto, main straight. Let's wait and see what's going on here, please. Time has elapsed. And, wow. He got back to the line after 25 minutes and gets the white flag. So it's all of a sudden iRacing is giving us a lap for nothing. 25 minutes plus 1 lap now we're running on with.
And it's cost Wagner.
Yep, I can never understand this caper, and Vargas had to come into the lane to get a lap of juice. He might not be the only one. There might be a couple of guys limping and coasting to the line here, not thinking it might. Well, as I said, my numbers were always saying 18, but that's how touch and go it was. That he's got back to the line at 25 minutes on the dot and then got the white flag. We don't normally see it cut that tight. Kurt Chapman has moved up to third as Varga has had to remove himself from the battle to grab a lap of juice. Jack Humphreys also under the lane. I knew Varga wouldn't be the only one. We'll get to Ryan Tegel in just a moment. Great to have you in the booth, mate. Wish you weren't here this early. Stand by for us. We appreciate the patience. Out comes Jack Humphries now. Jason Spriggs heading towards the second last corner. Up over the rise, down the hill to the last corner. Commanding performance, pole to victory. Second different race winner of the season on a night where Greg Favell has unfortunately come up well short. Checkered flag in the air. Jason Spriggs gets the job done. And after Ford's triumph last week, Bolton bounces back on the streets of Illinois. Slade second, Chapman third, Gio fourth. Chapman on the podium, what about that? And Lawford, Buchanan, Baldwin, Coleman and Christensen with Varga out in 10th now, having got that top up. Joe Baldwin almost going through the concrete and dragging it with him. Trucker picks up 7th. Unlucky in this instance. 16 spots gained by Trucker, more than anybody in the top 10. The record is going to, at this stage, Greg Spencer, 17 gained in 16th place. Well done. He'll be the winner of the Div 3 split, Super 3 split there. And then Sam Stride, Jack Humphries, Bevan Moyes and Mark McNamara. Now, how many drivers have fallen short on the final lap with regards to fuel? Looks like we're okay for the moment. We had, having a look around now, it looks like 19 cars are going to finish on the lead lap.
Yeah, I don't see anyone.
1, 2, 3, 4 are going to finish on the lane.
Yeah, I don't see anyone going slow on the track map other than Jake has just pulled up.
Briggs, Chapman, Geel, Lawford, Buchanan, Baldwin, Coleman and Christensen, with Varga and Proctor making up the top 10. 60 points for the winner, Jason Spriggs. His first win of the campaign. As I said, a night where Greg Favell, all the odds were stacked against him right from the very first corner, and the favourite was out the door with a DNF next to his name and 0 points on the board. Over the page, there are the Super 3 results for you. Greg Spencer from Mark McNamara, Colin Bennett, Liam Amos, Greg Padgett, Liam Miles, David Lawler, and then Jordan Ferguson and Peter Gretton. But I tell you what, there's a few here that will have a DNF next to their name. I mean, 18, so you had to get, 14 laps to be 75% race distance, I'd say. Let me just double check that. Yeah, 4.5, so 13 and a half, so you had to get to 14 to be classified, and unfortunately so many have failed to do that. Everyone from Liam Miles down, in fact, 27th onwards. So I guess the good news for Ryan Tegel is that he was a classified finisher, but not in the position you would have hoped to be, my friend, in 26th position outright. I don't know what that equates to as far as the class is concerned, but frustrating all the same, mate, because it was going so well. You moved up, about a dozen positions the last time we checked in, and the next time I saw you, you were welcoming yourself into the booth far too early for the sake of it.
Yeah, that's right. It was all a race of just managing the damage, really. I think for most people, the front left quarter just smacking into the wall, so it was just checking in with my teammates to see how much damage we had. And yeah, just the whole aim of the game was just to keep out of every little incident you could, and you just gain the spots, which is exactly what happened. I couldn't quality to save myself this track, and yeah, that's just what happened. And then unfortunately on that last stint, I smacked into a wall a little too hard and got a 5-minute meatball flag, and that was the entirety of the rest of the race.
Indeed. The challenges of this place. Talk us through qualifying firstly, because that looked like a dead set SH1T fight, really.
Yeah, it was. Look, just finding space in a track like this is just so hard. And then you've got the added pressure of actually just staying out of people's way. I was actually struggling to do an out lap, let alone a quali lap, because you just wanted to try and stay off the race line for everyone else that's coming through, so you don't ruin anyone else's race. I ended up crashing, I think, more on my out laps than my quali laps.
Yeah. unfortunately so. But I guess distinct different circuits week on week. Winton, tight, narrow, clothesline sort of goat track, but at least you had plenty of runoff area to work with. Here, no such runoff area, and a discrepancy between some parts of the racetrack where it was nice and wide and you had, room to move, to then very tight and narrow parts of the circuit as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I actually thought this track was going to be really difficult to overtake, but it's actually producing great racing. If you can get a good run and an exit from one of those slow turns, you usually have a chance to make an overtake done. It's a little different from Winton, where you just have to sort of make moves where the other person has made a mistake. But yeah, like you said, it's just so unforgiving. You get the moment you go offline, then you're in the wall, and then that's it. You cook. So at least at Winton, if you could just run off, and I had numerous runoffs at Winton. Yeah, you could still finish in the top 10.
Restream just confirming a point there about iRacing rules, if you like. The system in place to acknowledge off-track incidents, wall scrapes, car-to-car contact, etc. It is a big difference between... that is one of the big differences, distinct differences between real-world racing and sim-world racing as well. We've got a fair few drivers lining up to have a chat to us, Ryan. How are you enjoying the challenge of this car? Because, we more commonly associate you with something like Formula V, but the big hustle and bustle of the V8, what do you make of it?
Yeah, it's always a great challenge to try and... It's more training for my right foot, to be honest, because every other class I'm usually in the slower car, so the right foot just sort of has a relaxing day, just pushing the pedal to the metal. But in the car like this, you just can't do it. So my right foot's feeling a bit sore because it's trying to figure out what to do. So it's it's just great fun. And then when I did the production cars last week on the Thursday, we had the Mustang FRS, which had sort of big power. It acts like it's got big power, but you got to be careful with the right foot as well. So that came in handy because I came second in that one.
Indeed, you did. Now, Daniel Snedden just confirming that this track acknowledges wall scrapes with pit time as well. The other thing I wanted to do was bring up the calendar and remind everybody else of what's to come. Now, I'm not here next week, but this is what's ahead. Circuit Zolder, we're off to Belgium, and it's probably not the most commonly associated circuit with that country, as we know of Spa. But Ryan, Zolder's a ripper of a circuit, mate. I'm actually a little bit disappointed I'm not here next Monday night.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 on next week as well. It's, from memory, I've only raced Zolder a couple of times. Another one full of chicanes. I'm not a big fan of chicanes anyway.
It's got the one main chicane on the back, which is where you can jump the curbs with a really big curb, so they can upset your car if you get them wrong. Yes. And it's got that tight chicane after that, and then there's like a open chicane at the end of the race.
Yeah, that sounds like 3 too many chicanes for my liking. So I may or may not be here anyway. But yeah, something different to change it up.
Race start for GT3, for those of you tuning in at home, is coming up just after 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. It is, of course, 10 past 10 in New Zealand, 10 past 8 here on the east coast of Australia, 10 past 6 over in the west on the other side of the Nullarbor, where we'll cross to Joe Baldwin in just a few moments' time. Rhino, what else is keeping you busy, mate?
Work. Always work, like everyone else. Because unfortunately, I'm not a professional race car driver.
Exactly, and I'm not a professional commentator, hence why I'm here on a Monday night. However, in saying all of that, hey, just quickly, the bigger these fields, the more important it is to bank a qualifying lap. But even then, particularly at this racetrack, you can find yourself in trouble just about anywhere in the field, as our race favourite Greg Favell found out tonight.
Oh, I didn't even notice Greg got caught up in an incident. So, yeah, it's just one of those tracks. What do you do?
Exactly. As far as your own personal performance is concerned, are you a better racer or qualifier?
In this car, certainly. Actually, you know what? Now I think about every car. Definitely better racer. My qualifying, at least this season, I don't even think I've broken top 10 in any class of car at the moment. So I'm definitely struggling with qualifying pace. But when it comes to the race, managed to improve and make up a lot of spots. So, yeah, definitely a better racer than I am a qualifier, that's for sure.
All right, well, we'll let you go and work on that.
Thank you very much. I'll try.
Tonight, mate. Good luck with work for the rest of the week. Pardon the bag scrunching at my end. I've just decided to get a couple of sugary treats out of the Ellen's lolly bag whilst we go here. Go well for the rest of the week, and we'll catch up next week.
I will. Enjoy your lolly.
I will indeed. Just to get a bit of sugar pumping into the system before we go racing for 90 minutes around the circuit de la Sarthe. Let's go from Ryan Tagle to Kurt Chapman, if we don't mind. Kurt, well done, mate. What an extraordinary performance from you. 8th on the grid, up to 3rd in the end. Ably assisted by a bit of misfortune for those around you, not least Stephen Varga, who got caught out on fuel, it would seem.
Yeah, it was definitely a hectic race. There was so much going on, like way forward, way behind, and around me. It was hectic. Thankfully, I made a few moves and was able to move up the tree a little bit.
Talk to me just through the process of how mentally draining 25 minutes like that is, knowing that you're going to get punished for any mistake you make, knowing how many cars are around you, knowing that you could get caught up in somebody else's nonsense, and all the other uncertainties that can be thrown at you.
Yeah, it is really hard on yourself, especially physically as well. Trying to make sure those legs don't push a bit too hard on the brakes or a bit too hard on the gas. It's really tiring. Sorry if I'm a little bit puffed out. I'm qualifying for GT3 at the moment.
Oh, that's all right. That answers my next question. What's next for you? But in saying all of that, jumping from supercars into GT3s, how do you find that? Is it something that you can do with relative ease, considering how quick the turnaround is?
I feel like the GT3 is a little bit easier to drive. Like there's traction control, ABS, way more aero, so you can push a little bit harder in the corners and that. But it's still just as draining.
Indeed. What are your thoughts on Lamar in the GT3 just before we let you go?
The track's too long.
Now, as far as this championship's concerned, obviously a good fight there with Alan Geel as well tonight. What are your thoughts on the rest of the campaign, given how it started, and then what are your thoughts on Zolder?
Yeah, I'm really keen for the rest of the season. Got a good team with good backers behind us. Keen to give them some really good results this year.
Very nicely done. All right, mate. I'm going to leave you to it so you can focus on GT3. Thanks for stopping by the booth. Well done on the podium finish, and good luck for the rest of the season.
All right, thanks, guys.
And Kurt was the first of the 4 time. It's important to note. Let's bounce up over Joe Baldwin, the El Presidente for the moment, and come back to him very shortly. 2 other members of the top 5 brigade here, Jake Slade and also Angus Lawford. We'll go to Jake first. Second home, 4.15 the margin, but very comfortable over the rest of the pack, mate. You put daylight between you and everybody else.
Yeah, I just sort of got in the groove. I think after all that drama on turn 1, got the first lap nerves out of the way, gave me a bit of a buffer to sort of settle into a groove. The car just felt stable. I've been working on this tune myself all week, just putting in hours. Yeah, it definitely helps around a street circuit like this, having a bit of practice behind you.
Indeed it does. When you look at the race that was, getting clear real estate early helps, and you had the better of the start. You were able to avoid the incident at the first corner, and that really set it up.
Yeah, I actually got a really good start, and the car in front of me, I can't remember who it was, sort of checked up a little bit, so I had to slow down a bit. But I sort of just went left, and it opened up, and I saw everything unfold, so I just stayed tight, and yeah, got past it all, luckily. Yeah, it was a bit of a mess, but yeah, moving forward, it was a good race. I really enjoyed it.
Do you prefer street circuits or proper, real purpose-built racing tracks where there is margin for error?
I'm going to say my driving skill likes the more open tracks. Definitely my heart does, because the street circuits definitely have your heart rate up a few notches. But I don't know. I like throwing the car around, so the pre-circuits don't bother me. This one's quite bumpy and like they normally are. But yeah, I've only been on a wheel for 5 weeks, man. Like I've come from a controller, so it's still a learning curve for me. But I'm really happy with the finish tonight.
All right, very nicely done. And at the end of the day, a result like this really bodes well for the rest of the campaign, mate. Something to build on for the next 8 weeks.
That's right, man. Yeah, it's a good start. I was telling myself I'd be happy with a top 15 and be extremely happy with top 10. But to come on the podium, I'm absolutely chuffed. So we'll see how we can go the rest of the series.
Indeed, we will. What's next on your racing assignments, please?
Honestly, I'm not really signed up for anything else this week. I might jump in on the Sunday and do the Mountain Men again. I did it last Sunday. It was a bit of fun. Jump in the TCRs this week. But I probably would like to eventually jump in the GT4 series. That's something I'm quite good at in the officials. So other than that, probably just get stuck in a tuning the car for Zolder and plan for the week ahead.
All right, very nicely done. When we get to Zolder, firstly, what are your thoughts on that? And B, who are you most worried about, given that tonight was a jackpot lottery sort of scenario and many contenders bit the dust and bit it hard, and concrete in some instances as well. As far as pace is concerned, who are you worried about as the season goes on?
Obviously Spriggsy and Favell being the hard favourites, but they've always got pace from what I've seen. And tonight being the first race against these fellas, it was just extremely unlucky that he got turned around, but caught up in that stuff. But yeah, I guess I'll just take it how it comes and see if I can just work on my own skill set and just try and have some consistent finishes. I'm not terribly worried about getting on the podium every week. Just trying to finish and just build is the main thing, really.
All right, very nicely done. And I mean, of the circuits on the schedule, are there any that you particularly don't like?
Not really. It's actually quite a good lineup.
Yeah.
I haven't done much around Zolder, to be honest, at all. So it's going to be a new track for me. So I'm going to be knuckling down this week and getting some hours into it. But yeah, we'll see how we go. I'm very keen for Bathurst. I don't know an Australian that wouldn't say that, but yeah, we'll see how we go. See how Zolder goes.
All right, mate. We appreciate you stopping by for a chat. Thanks for that. Well done tonight. Look forward to seeing what the rest of the season holds for you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Angus Lawford, to you. 2 Holdens, 1 and 2, then 3 Fords, you being the third of them. In fact, Holden dominated the top 10, 6 and 4. But for you, talk me through the run to 5th, please, because in the end, I mean, you were 2.41 seconds away, or 2.48, I should say, away from Alan Gill, but you had 7.77 on the next car down the road. I'm sure it's not as straightforward as that, how we got to that point. It looks as though it was at an eventful night out, albeit a very lonely finish.
I was very unlucky, to be honest, at the start. I started in a good position, got a good jump off the line, but coming through turn 1, unfortunately, the incident that happened right in front of me. I seen it unfold, and I tried to steer the car out of the way, but I ended up into the side of one of the cars, just because it understeered as soon as I tried to reef it further. But unfortunately, it's one of those positions too where if I did try to get it out of that position, I probably would have hit the car on the inside as well. So just unlucky positioning for that start. Qualifying, I was a little upset with. I was on track to get a 23.5 for qualifying multiple times in that session, and I ended up just kept running into traffic. But it's what you get on a tight track. And a lot of drivers on the track, so it makes it difficult. But other than that, recovered pretty well, nursed the car until the pit stop, and unfortunately I spun it going into the pit, so I lost a lot of time. But from then on, it was just a matter of hitting my lines, and I was slowly reeling everyone in, and I managed to get some wheel damage again with about 5 laps to go. So I was nursing the car, but I was still catching them, which surprised me. So I'm pretty happy. Being only I've only had a PC since not the Thursday just gone, the Thursday before that, to get into the top 10 twice and the start of my very first league on iRacing. I'm pretty happy with that.
As should be. Looking at the night that was, I mean, that's these races are one of two things. One, fraught with danger, but survival of the fittest as a direct consequence. So anyone that can get through these and bag some championship points sets themselves up well. There'll be a few people using their drop round tonight. What are your thoughts on the season ahead and how this result, I guess, maybe gives you a little bit of a confidence hit?
It certainly does. A lot of the tracks I'm very keen to get on, especially next week, Zolder, because I have been racing for Project 36 for over a year now, but I've been mainly on Xbox on a set of Forza, and Zolder was one of my favourite tracks. So I'm keen to get out there next week and see what I can do on iRacing. But any of the other tracks I haven't actually touched, but I'm like really keen to see it all through.
Yeah. I was going to say, when you look at the championship as an overall picture as well, consistency is going to win them too. Will we see you on track for every single one of the next 8 rounds, or not?
Yes, I will be here for every one of them. I purposely said to the team owner that this is the only thing I want to do for the first season, and then from there we're going to talk about possibly jumping into some more of the things that I want to do more, like the GT3s and stuff like that.
You've just answered my next question, so beautifully done. You must have seen that one coming. Appreciate it, mate. Thanks for stopping on by. Well done on the results tonight, and looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table at Zolder.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Just like to thank the sponsors, Cataclysm, Shockworks, CC Forged, Quacker, and Fueled. Thanks, guys.
There he is, Angus Lawford. Very nicely done. Trucker Joe, good evening to you, El Presidente.
Hi, sir.
23rd up to 7th. Not a bad run. Second biggest mover of the night. But, by gee, that car was a little bit too close to concrete on far too many occasions for the sake of it, I would have thought.
Well, the concrete at Chicago is just a track limit, so you've got to use all the track. It's one of those things. I actually jumped into a server yesterday that Mr. Greg Favell put up, and I did maybe a dozen laps or so, and I struggled. I got into qualifying tonight, I struggled, but in the race I sort of just clicked a bit, made little errors, just rubbing walls and stuff, but I never really had a big one, which just allowed me to finish up in 7th there, which was certainly not a result I was expecting at Chicago. I'll give you the tip.
Indeed. Again, survival of the fittest. You got to ride a little bit of luck, but it wasn't without drama. There were a couple of incidents along the way that you had to take evasive action on, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was lap 1. I think there was a big bunch up there after turn 2, maybe. I think a couple of guys got into one another, and there was a zig and a zag, and I got around that one, and there's another one in the wall, so I'm just moving the blocks out of the way. It's one of those things I mean, I'm not going to finish first in these things, but you've got to finish, right? So just, even if I knew I was going to hit the wall, I just made sure I had the steering square and didn't knock the front end or the rear end around or anything. The guy, who was it that finished directly behind me? I'm trying to think who that was Kevin Coleman. He came out of the pits. Right, I didn't actually see him to the last split second, and I almost walled him in and pinched ourselves up. But we had a great run through the end there. I enjoyed the last 8-10 laps. Yeah, it's good fun.
Indeed. And just again, survival of the fittest for anyone that's using this as a drop round. It puts pressure on them for the remaining 8 to make every post a winner. For those of you guys that have been able to bag championship points tonight, they may come back to serve you well at the very end of the season. They may end up being valuable, mate.
Well, I mean, look, there's a lot of heavy hitters that didn't finish tonight, and that's probably allowed me to get sort of into the back end of the mid pack or the front end of the back of the top 10, whatever, you know. So there's a bunch of points there. I had a bad week last week. I got home from work late, and I think I did. I never even got to turn one. I had damage, and it just didn't happen at Winton. So, but unfortunately, we maxed out the server tonight. So, apologies to some of those guys that didn't get in tonight.
Did we have a full grid?
We had a full grid, yeah. We had 40 cars. There was a few guys that didn't make it in. So, yeah, it's an apology to them. But I guess it just shows you that we probably it's a little bit more popular than we were going to give it credit to at the start of the season to get a place like Winton and Chicago to have 40 cars in each server. So it's certainly looking good. We might have to have a look at the numbers so that everybody gets a go.
Last one on this, because we'll take a break and come back for GT3 in a moment. And we'll get an update from you, no doubt, on what's coming up from a club standpoint for the rest of the week. But last question with regards to the supercars. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't, aren't you, committee members? Because at the end of the day, we know just how hit and miss this championship has been in the past and can be. What do we put the revitalised interest in these huge numbers down to, if you don't mind me asking?
I have a theory that I think it's consistency. Like we've consistently run the Super 2s. I think this is our third go around. I think Adam might be able to correct me. I think this is the third time in a row that we've run the Super 2s back to back to back. So I think that getting that consistency, and it is a fun car to drive, and it's on a good night, so it suits a lot of people that might do Scops or whatever else later in the week on the other so-called bigger nights. So it's a lot of people just penciled it into their weekly calendar for their racing fix, I guess. So it's the popularity has probably caught me a little bit by surprise, I've got to admit, which is it's a good problem to have, right?
100% is a good problem to have, but it goes back to the point that we got to last season where the numbers diminished to the point where we combine the splits. So, I mean, damned if you do and damned if you don't, you cannot win.
Exactly.
Trucker, what else is on this week, please? And firstly, how much did you enjoy Friday night and the new SRX series, the NASCARs, and also Mountain Men?
The Mountain Men I didn't get to race. I was actually out that night. By all reports, we had a big field in there as well. I think was like 25 or 27 cars showed up. I'm not sure how many took the grid, but I believe there were some very fast times put in the GTEs. They're a great car to drive. We got the TCRs this week, so no doubt that'll be a big grid as well. But the SRX, all I need is about another 4 fingers to do the broadcasting stuff, and I'm getting a bit of guidance by our one and only Adam Maverick. So hopefully this week we'll iron out some of the bugs and we'll have a better go of it. But the racing was fantastic, and everybody was complaining how sore their legs were for the length of the braking zones with the XRX. Was quite funny to listen to after the race.
Race drivers have always got to find something to whinge about, Joe.
Don't we always?
Yeah, 100%. What would life be if we didn't have that? Go well, mate. Thank you for that. Are you jumping in GT3?
I am, yep. My woeful qualifying continues. I've qualified in 18th of 23 cars that have taken a lap, but the times are actually pretty tight. We're, I think, 56.7 by Chris Mack is fastest.
Yep.
And the back of the top 10 is 4 dead. So there's only, on a big long track like that, when you look at percentages, it's actually quite small.
And there's actually a fair amount of overtime on this one, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of between when qualifying ends and racing starts. So even though Adam Lavis is panning in on the Circuit de la Sarthe right now to show you the famed venue in which we are racing tonight, there it is. We are actually going to, at my own personal request, take a break at this point. We'll bring you live pictures from the circuit once Google Earth has finished doing its thing. I'm happy to show live pictures of qualifying. I just need a minute here to catch my breath. And then on the other side of that, ladies and gentlemen, it will be round 2 of Waste Options GT3 AM. 90 minutes, the first of 3 90-minute fares for this season. We thank Joe Baldwin and everybody else tuning in that chimed into the commentary box to have a chat post-race after putting on a show on the circuit, on the streets of Chicago. Great racing to get us underway on a Monday night. It continues on the other side with an all-out dogfight of the horsepower variety on the famed Circuit de la Sarthe, the home of the Le Mans 24-hour qualifying. The drivers on their last flying lap now. As soon as they get ready to take to the grid, we'll be back with you this Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Excuse me. Good evening once more, everybody. Nice to have your company wherever you're tuning in all around Australia or indeed the world on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. As we said a few moments ago, leg 2 of Monday Night Motorsport. Night 1 of week 2 of term 2 for 2024 brings us to the Circuit de la Sarthe, Le Mans, the south of France, the famed home of the twice round the clock classic that takes place in the middle of June. It's synonymous with sports car racing. The infield short circuit, the Bugatti circuit, of course, more famous with motorcycle racing. We had, of course, the countdown to the French Grand Prix already underway. That will be coming up in the middle of next month, and we're already looking forward to that. But tonight, our focus is sports car racing on this world-famous course. We'll get to the weather and track details in just a moment. In the meantime, 13.5 kilometres, the circuit length, and nothing else worth updating at this point in time because I want the race server to click into gear before I go through time, weather, humidity, etc. In the meantime, let's have a look at where things stand in this AM Championship. after the opening round of the campaign last week, of course, from the Monza circuit in Italy. We had a great 1 hour of racing. A great what was it? Was it an hour? It was, yeah, an hour of racing there last week. And this is interesting, Adam Lavis. We might have to do some explaining here, because the leader of the championship's in 4th place in the race server last week. So I take it there's been a few promotions into GT3 Pro at the end of the opening round at Monza.
There was, but also the top. There was also 3 guys who didn't do their mid-season switch, so they weren't supposed to be in the server in the first place.
Copy that. 45 for James Francona, Eduardo Zamora on 40, Joe Baldwin, on 42, Joe Baldwin, 40, Bobby Camo on 39, Ben Lavender 37, then Glenn Wilkinson 33, Brian Bullock 28, Sean Rees 26, and Ben Goring 24. Brett Bradbury making up the top 10 on 22 points. The first of the Mercs is in 11th. Now, it's interesting there, because if you look at that leaderboard, you can see Ferrari. You can see 3 of them in the top 5. You can see BMW, Porsche. You can see Lambo, McLaren, and also Mercedes in the top 11. 6 different manufacturers in the top 11. The first of the Audis is down in 17th in Warren Ibert. Did anyone take interest in the Ford for this campaign? No, not yet. Okay. All right. Grid's about to set. We're ready to rock and roll here on the famed Le Mans circuit. Night 1 of week 2 of term 2 on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. And all of this is made possible by Sprite Insider, Waste Options, Orbic Australia, Lobesy Racing, M-Wave Australia, and Flash Graphics. Huge thanks to Josh Zuno. Just a nice drive-by on Joe Baldwin there, if you don't mind. Well done. We couldn't do what we do here without them. Rain radar, clear at the moment. Is there any on the way? We're not sure.
Doesn't seem to be. There was a 20% chance for the server, but it looks like they may have got away with it. The track looks a little dark, so it could be some moisture on there. I'm not 100% sure, but the stat on the screen there says track is dry, so we'll go with that.
And it certainly does look dry indeed. So, on that note, let's have a look at the grid here, because the cars are starting to line up for this 1 hour race. This 90-minute race, I should say. And it is 90 minutes. That's important to note, because there are 3 of those races in this campaign. There's one in the middle of the season at the Nordschleife, then off to Road America for the finale. We'll remind you of the calendar in just a moment. Chris McDonald and Oscar Haynes, the front row. James Francone, Eduardo Zamora, the second. Tim Fuge, Glenn Wilkinson, the third. Jordan Ferguson, Chris Bleakley, the fourth. Andrew Neal, Darren Harris, the fifth. Now, you've got Ferrari, you've got Porsche, BMW, Lambo, Mercedes, all in the top 10. 11th is Adam Hennessy, and alongside him, Jack Humphreys, Bobby Camo and Ben Lavender from the 7th row, 8th row, Aidan Schultz in the first of the Audi entries in Warren Ibert. Then Andrew Franklin, Philip Butler, Joe Baldwin, and Nick Fodiatis making up the top 20, and Nick's in the Ford. Have a look at that. Good old Henry.
This is a Ford-friendly track because it's got the horsepower.
Yep, exactly. Adam Johnson, Martin Pedersen, Liam Amos, Scott Jordanson, Ilio Mirabella, Alfredo Hugo, Dimitri Agathos is in there as well. So too Robert McGrath, Ben Goring, and Wayne Visser. Hugo, Bullock, Bowman, and Horter are non-starters in this field. Greg Padgett has joined at the back of the field as well. So that takes care of that. So it's a field of 30 lining up for what should be a very interesting 1.5 hours here. And Adam Lavis, I believe, last time we were here it was 3 or 4 stops, so we're in that similar territory again tonight, I would imagine.
Probably a little bit less, because we've extended the fuel range for the Enduros.
Okay. So we're probably looking at 3 stops.
Yeah, because I think it's normally 2 stops, so it might be 2 or 3 stops possibly, depending. Given the long lap, it may trip them up a little bit.
True. Let's hope we don't get a safety car, folks. That's the one thing we don't want, because that would be a very long lap around here for us to just pad.
Well, that's unfortunate. Apparently it's too cloudy for the air show. I set up a camera and there's no planes.
I love your attention to detail, mate. It's what sets this car
Well,
above.
unless they're not out yet. Maybe it's a bit later in his lap. Maybe that's when they come through here.
We are set for a start, and Waste Options GT3 AM, the first of the AM rounds that we'll bring you for this season. Stick around post-race. We'll have the results from the Pro Split for you.
Oh, here they are. There they are.
Go. There they are. Have a look at that. What attention to detail. Brilliant. We'll let that flyover commence. These guys are edging closer to the start as well as the flyover lights up the sky. Red, white, and blue. I won't go through the rest of the calendar just yet. We'll wait for a quiet patch in the race to do that. There are 4 sprint rounds on the way. 2 more 60-minute races. This is the first of the 90-minute affairs, though. Unfortunately, the only problem I've got with the Circuit de la Sarthe is it doesn't allow for a 2x2 field bunched up start. It's pretty much Indian file. We're underway anyway. On the run up towards the first corner. And it's Ferrari from Porsche and Ferrari that lead us through. Chris McDonald, Oscar Haynes, James Francone and Eduardo Zamora. First of the movers is further back, Chris Bleakley and Darren Harris. Luke Turner saying, count me in for Nords. Good on you, mate. Looking forward to that. Oscar Haynes! Lightning start from him down the inside. Shots fired early to get by Chris McDonald and take the lead as they head for the Mulsanne for the first time. Oscar Haynes content to lead this one from the front. Chris McDonald having to get the toe and maybe save a little bit of juice along the way. Or maybe engage in duel. Here we go. Up the outside. This will give him the run to maybe have the line. Yes. Haynes backs out of it. Zamora goes through as well. On Francone, the BMW up into third. 5 different manufacturers in the top 6 already. 7 of the 8 available in the race. No McLaren tonight, it's important to note. We had 30 starters. We had 34 in the service, 30 starters here tonight. And now look at this. Francone looking to get back down on the inside of Zamora. Harris and Wilkinson side by side. Harris up 4 spots on the opening lap. Humphries and Camo already up 3 spots. And we are 2 minutes in to a 90-minute affair. We're looking at somewhere in the vicinity of 22 laps tonight, folks. 23 if they're lucky. It depends on pit lane transit times. But if we go to 23, it will incur a little bit of overtime. Qualifying pace was around about that 3-minute 56, 57 marker. Always maybe half a second to a second difference between the Pro and the AM splits here, Adam Lavis.
Indeed, yeah. It was a bit like that.
McDonald, Haynes, then Francone, Zamora, Harris, Wilkinson, Bleakley, Neal and Humphries, then Camo, the top 10. Benton, Fuges, 11. Ibert, Ferguson, Hennessy and Schultz, the top 15 here. Lap 1 at the Circuit de la Sarthe. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Already some games being played. Francone flirting with the off-track bitumen there. The clay-looking coloured bitumen. Uh-oh, Zamora. Oh, Eduardo Zamora. And he's not the only one. Scott Jordanson's also gone. Zamora's on the tow rope. We've had our first casualty. AstroTurf is the word I was looking for. Through they go. 4 minutes gone already at the Circuit de la Sarthe. This is what happened to Zamora. Oh, he had it crossed up and out of shape. Too committed too early. Not sure if it was cold tyres or just a little bit too friendly on the accelerator. And he's, as I said, he wasn't the only one to run into trouble early, but he is the only one on the tie rope. Elio Mirabella has made his way to the pit lane as well. Wayne Vizza also on the pit road. It's not like they're going to get a safety car. And really, Adam Lavis, as we've seen here in the past, if you zig when others zag, it's such a more expensive lap in an economic sense, fuel economy I'm talking about here, if you've got no one to catch a draft with. If you're driving around on your lonesome, as Wayne Vizza's about to be, it just drags things out a little bit more savagely than it otherwise should.
Indeed, yeah, the draft is very, very important around here. It's a bit like a peloton with the bicycles. You don't really want to lead every lap here because you basically just giving everyone else an advantage. But you definitely want to keep an eye on your fuel numbers here, because if it happens that your fuel is like only just shy of getting an extra lap, it is worth saving that fuel, because if you can get an extra lap early, with the lap being so big, that's a lot less fuel you're going to take later on.
Absolutely. Just bear with me, folks. I've got a bit of a frog in the throat tonight. I'm going to try and shake it off before the weekend in Wagga, but the change of season up here in the alleged Sunshine State, where it's absolutely tipped down all weekend, it does occasionally get the better of that transition from cold, from hot, stinking hot, steaming hot, to just slightly moderate conditions. Often does get the better of the old voice box. 6 minutes gone, and Chris McDonald's cleared out to a 2.82 second lead over Haynes. Front cone is third, under pressure from Harris. Neal all over the back of Bleakley at the moment. And we're watching Jack Humphries in 8th. There's the line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the 8. At the moment, McDonald's disappeared. 3 seconds to the good. So you've stretched out the fuel window, Adam Lavis. So to give everybody at home a little bit of extra intel and insight, as regular viewers will know, you guys have the ability, as you're setting up the servers, to cap the fuel tank at a certain percentage of its capacity. Just talk us through what we were at and where we're at now.
So we were running 42% for all the races, which was roughly about 24-25 minutes of fuel, which basically was good for the hour race and for the sprints, but left it a very tight window for the endurance races. So for the endurance races, we've stretched it out to more like I think it's around about 35-ish minute, maybe a little bit more, 35, 37 minute fuel length. That way they can do like one or two proper stops and then like a splash. So it's a little bit, it gives them a little bit more flexibility, because if they have to pit early for whatever reason, they still can be able to try and stretch the rest of the race without having totally compromising their entire race.
Jack Humphries rather in 8th place, and behind him is Tim Fuge, under pressure from Bobby Camo and Warren Ibert as they make their way through. Ibert's keen to have a look, isn't he? In the Audi. Have a look at that distinct yellow on the Audi as well. Good colour that. As they make their way through onto the main straight at the end of the second lap. 3:59.108 for Chris McDonald. Franco and Harris have got through. Haynes, what's happened to Haynes? Haynes has dropped down to 4th. And I'm none the wiser as to why that is. McDonald's lead has ballooned out to 4.29 seconds, and Haynes has dropped down to 4th. From 2nd on the racetrack, it's a Ferrari 1, 2, 3 in the south of France. And still, the trouble mounts. That is the Mercedes of Jordan Ferguson limping away. As well, in the background there, has dropped down to 14th. Early drama for a couple of top 10 contenders. Back live. And we've got Bobby Camo and Warren Ibert there on screen at the moment. 9th place, 9 minutes gone. A run down the Mulsanne once more. chatter. Race control is alive and well at the moment. I can hear that in my earpiece. I'm not sure if you can hear that at home, ladies and gentlemen. Robert McGrath has come to pit lane. Wayne Visser spent 52 seconds there at the end of the first lap. Ilio Mirabella was passed up in the tide. So too Eduardo Zamora. So those two are already out of business. We're down to 28 already. And a long way back for Wayne Visser after being stationary for 52 seconds on the opening lap. McDonald, Harris, Haynes, and Bleakley, Neal, Francone has dropped down to 6th place now as well. I think our producer and director has had a couple of near misses with his internet so far tonight. So we'll get those replays to you shortly to show you why Francone's dropped down to 6th and Haynes has got back up into 3rd. Remembering he was 2nd this time a lap ago. There's Bobby Camo, 9th place. Warren Ibert is rounding out the top 10 at the moment. He's one of the big movers of the night, but the biggest so far is Dimitri Agathos. No surprise there. Dimitri's a gun steerer, up 14 spots from 27th on the grid to 13th. And Warren Ibert up 6 spots into the top 10 from 16th on the grid. And Darren Harris from 10th up to 2nd so far, the big movers tonight.
I guess he's looking at this, and if he hasn't made a mistake, he's ready to slow down in the final chicane. Yeah, so he's had to let everyone by.
Move to the right-hand side. And we're still none the wiser as to what Haynes' issue was. Maybe it was a slowdown for him as well. He's right there with Harris. He's in the slipstream at the moment. In the meantime, oh no, Robert McGrath got a helping hand and then got collected on the rejoin. Now, whether or not that was I don't know. He was trying to correct it. I don't know if there's any fault that can be laid and blamed. Oh, no. So there was more to that. There was much more to that. I don't think you can attribute any of that to Robert McGrath. He was a passenger at that point. He's collected Dick Fodiatis, who has then become a proper passenger, finding the Armco. And the pinkish car has collected him on the way through. 12 minutes gone. The end of the 3rd lap. Yeah, I can't believe I'm saying the end of the 3rd lap, but that's Le Mans for you. As the GT3 cars continue to ply their trade around here, Monday Night Motorsport, on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. No sporting updates for you tonight, folks, because all the sport's done for the weekend. The real world stuff, at least. Starts up again on Wednesday night with the AFL Anzac Day Eve fixture at the MCG. And, of course, Anzac Day between Essendon and Collingwood. And there's a GWS Brisbane Lions match, which shapes as a very important fixture for both from Canberra that night. We're right on board with Oscar Haynes, who is all over the back of Darren Harris like a cheap suit at the moment, and setting himself up for a crack as they head onto the back straight. In fact, he'll get him before there. He'll get him going into the right-hander to set up the run down the Mulsanne. That is very handsomely done from Oscar Haynes. Back to 2nd. Chris McDonald's taken off 7 seconds to the good. What will the rest of the pack do from here? Case of catch me if you can, Adam Lavis.
So this is where you're wondering how Oscar took it at 3rd. It's just a simple pass.
All right, there we go. That was nicely done. Now, I'm not so worried about how he got back to 3rd. I'm also worried about how he ended up down in 4th, because he had a not too bad a buffer over 3rd and 4th, and then all of a sudden it dropped back into the pack. So, yeah, it's a strange one, but order restored right now. The battle pack between Bleakley, Neal, Francone, Humphreys and Wilkinson's worth watching as well. That's the second battle pack on screen there. There they are. Bleakley holding on at the moment. It's interesting, isn't it? Not a lot of love for the Mercedes or the Audi, and one of the not a lot of love, I should say, for the Mercedes. Full stop. In the pro split, a lot of love for the Audi, but here Ferrari and Porsche, that support rings true and strong. Not too bad a representation for Lamborghini, and if you have a look through BMW as well with some love, but it's predominantly Ferrari and Porsche, isn't it, mate?
Well, there's literally a Porsche Cup in the middle of the top 15 there.
Yeah, absolutely. 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th. All Porsche. There are 3 of them in the top 10 to complement the 5 outside down at 20th. 2 Lambos in that top 10 as well. 2 Mercedes, 2 BMWs. 3 Mercedes. 1, 2, 3, 4 Prancing horses as well.
I guess with the, I haven't got any, there was any real overtake I had on my list for people passing Haynes. So I'm guessing he probably did the similar thing where he must have had an off track and let people go. Oh, this is close.
Indeed it is down the inside. And Pedersen has to yield. Through goes Lavender. They've got Franklin and Johnson for company as well. If you got up early this morning like I did, you'll have seen a fascinating IndyCar race on the streets of Long Beach. No spoilers from me if you haven't already seen it, but yeah, well worth having a look at. One of the great iconic events of the IndyCar schedule. We're off to Alabama next Monday morning, and then of course off to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the big month of May. Robert McGrath's retired. Elio Mirabella and Eduardo Zamora have parked up. Everybody else still running at the moment, except for Tim Fuge. Fuge has now joined the list of retirements. I'm a lifelong Eels supporter, but I'm not sure that livery will bring Francone any luck. No, especially after what we saw from them in Darwin the other night. Just quietly. I saw a meme on Facebook the other day. Someone subtly suggesting that they'll never see a Parramatta premiership in their lifetime. Maybe the Warriors have more chance of getting there before. So what is it actually in the NRL? It's the Warriors, it's the Titans that haven't yet won a premiership, and the Dolphins as well, but they are only a team in their infancy. And I think everybody else has managed at least one premiership team. Franklin in 16th spot at the moment. Nick Fadiatis to pit lane. There is Jack Hutchins in 7th place. Here's a replay. Uh-oh. That'll do it.
So close to saving that too.
Just the smallest scrape on the wall for Tim Fuge. This field very quickly spreading out around the racetrack. Oscar Haynes under pressure from Darren Harris. That's what happened to Ben Goring. James Francone and Andrew Neal in close tow. Chris Bleakley, Jack Humphries, Glenn Wilkinson as well. In fact, that one's interesting because it's a Merc up against a Porsche and a Lambo. Bobby Camoes started to drive away from Warren I, but he's put him further into the rearview mirror. And this is Francone down the inside. For 4th. Not content with that, Neil looks to fight back. But Francone's content and trying his best to keep him at bay. Open slugger, full throttle, foot to the floor. Sure we go again. Can we tell if there's any fuel saving going on at the moment, Adam Lavis? Although, in saying that, is there any benefit in the exercise given the length of the circuit?
It's not as easy to listen out for fuel saving with these cars because all they can do is lift and coast. They've got no clutch. So they can't do the big heavy clutches like Denji does in the Porsche Cup and things like that. But if you'll still be able to tell if they lift early into the corners. But the other thing they can do is when they're in the slipstream, when they get close enough, they can just come off to about 80 or 90% throttle and just hold position rather than closing the position. And that can save them fuel in the slipstream. Ooh, that was close.
That was very close. That was very close. Aiden Schultz to the end of the Mulsanne. Oh dear. And that is beached. And on the tow rope. Geez, he didn't wait very long. That's it, I've had enough, I'm done. Schultz is on the tow rope, parked up out of business, so that's retirement number 5. And all of a sudden, 1/6 of the field that we started with is gone. 21 minutes into the exercise. Could be a long night, Adam.
It's a long track. It looks like a very simple track on paper, but there's a lot of, because of the fact that this track basically you run next to no aero because of these long straights. With the chicanes, you run a little bit more than you would without the chicanes. But even with that, we've got a slow down there in the background for Darren. He's pulled right off this pace. That's unfortunate for Darren. But because of that, once you get to the other side of the track, when you get to the Porsche curves, just very slight wrong bump at the curb or too much for steering lock in a place, and you get a little bit of slide on, there's not much you can do in these GT3 cars once you get a slide because they have very limited steering lock and traction control. So you haven't got enough lock to catch the slide if you don't catch it early enough, and then you can't really just jam the throttle to try and drive yourself out of the slide. So once you get a bit of a slapper on, 9 times out of 10 you're going to be a passenger.
McDonald, Haynes, Harris, Francone and Neal. Francone and Neal the only battle in the top 5 at the moment. There's Warren Ivett trying to fight his way back into the top 10, having launched up onto the back rather. Jeez. Launched up onto the back of Dimitri Agathos. Can the Audi find a way by the Ferrari? Not yet. I'm a fan of the yellow. I've said that before, but particularly that livery. I mean, it's a Red Bull livery. We know that. You only have to look at the side and the mascot there to realise where we're going. But that is particularly impressive. That yellow stripe set, stands out more. It's more striking on that car than it is on, say, their Formula 1 car. Warren Ivett doing a nice job in the Red Bull Audi.
The Formula 1 car only has it on the nose tip, so.
Well, that's right. I'm all for more yellow. The only thing that would make it more yellow for him is if he swapped the Audi for a Ferrari, because the Ferrari badge is yellow. Now, very nicely done. McDonald, Haynes, Harris, Francone, Neal and Humphreys the top 6 at the moment. We're yet to reach the first round of pit stops. We're at the end of the 23rd minute. We're into the 24th. And on the back end of lap number 6.
So if we're on the old fuel numbers, they would be pitting this lap because they obviously are not going to do, be able to do another lap and get 27 minutes into the race when the fuel runs out 23, 24 minutes in the race. So this is where we're going to see the guys are going to extend another 2 or 3 laps here and give themselves a bit more of a flexibility for the third stop. Or for the second stop. Your second stop, you'll be able to put a little bit less fuel in, or you can put a little less fuel in now, and so there'll be a little bit. It'll be a 2-stop race. One stop, be either one full stop and one half stop, or 2 short stops, and whatever you think's best. And unfortunately, the other thing we have had to do, we've had to take away that one tyre limit we've been playing with for the last couple of seasons. Because with the iRacing, with the new weather system, they haven't separated the dry and wet tyres in that count. So annoyingly at the moment, if we have the one tyre limit rule in and the track starts wet and then goes dry, that's their one tyre change. That's their one tyre change done, and they can't go another set of slicks when their tyres run out.
Oh dear. Yeah, that would cause some issues. Harris, Neil, and Camo all in right now. Now, this is interesting because I just want to have a look at the numbers there. 24 and a half minutes gone. Yeah, let's see how long these guys run it, because if they get to the end of lap 7, that's 28 minutes. 3:28s are 84. Someone needs to stretch this out beyond 8 laps if they're going to try and two-stop it.
So what?
The first two, until 8 laps gets you to 16, and then I reckon we were at 22, 23 at most, 22 at minimum laps tonight. Depends on the pit lane transit, the amount of time lost on pit lane. That will dictate because 22 by 4 is 88.
I'm pretty sure the guys who've been now.
Minutes on the lane, you'll get a 23rd lap in.
I'm pretty sure the guys being now are doing the reverse strat.
Wilkinson in 5th spot at the moment, and Bleakley 6th. Agathos up 20 spots in this opening stint to 7th. But again, the field's only partially cleansed right now.
So I just did the...
Baldwin up 17th as well, from 19th on the grid. And Ben Goring is up 13 spots despite that early setback.
So just double checked my numbers. So as I said, it was 42% normally. It's now 64% for the endurance races, which gives them about 37 to 38 minutes of fuel range. Maybe a little less of this track because of the fact that so high percentage of full throttle. However, that can be combated with the slipstream effect of just being a little bit off the throttle.
Right, so that minute count again?
Around about 37 to 38 minutes.
Okay, in that case then 38 to 76, so yeah, they would be right. So those guys that have pitted earlier have actually gone beyond the minimum. There's no doubt about that. An 8-lap stint and a 9-lap stint maybe to get them home. Because again, with only 2 pit stops, that buys you a little bit of time that you'd otherwise be burning on a fuel stop and a pit lane transit. So yeah, I'm leaning towards 23. 3:58.065, the fastest lap so far for Chris McDonald. Oscar Haynes is second, James Francone is third, Jack Humphreys and Glenn Wilkinson the top 5. 6 different manufacturers in the top 10 at the moment. 3 Ferraris, 2 Porsches, 2 Mercs, a Lambo, a BMW and an Audi.
A little spicy, Becky.
It's Jordan Ferguson all over the back of Adam Hennessy. These 2 yet to stop as well. Ferguson's down 2 spots. We saw him off track early in the piece. We know that Hennessy's up 3 spots and Warren Ibert's up 6 spots. Happy to be now firmly cemented inside the top 10 for the time being.
Yeah, so if it's a 37-minute strat, that means those other guys would be pitted already. They'd be just on the reverse strat. The guys, Nick could be possibly still in range. He might be on the limit. Greg, again, even more on limit, if at all. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. There we go. So we've got Adam Hennessy here. It's just trying to get out of this battle, get a clear track, and he's seeing these guys starting to come. And Warren looks good, looks hungry for position. He's made a mistake there, so he's going to do it all over again. So Hennessy's decided to get out of that, give himself some clear track, and see if he can make hay while these guys are doing a couple extra laps.
Indeed. Off goes, oh no, Darren Harris. Darren Harris is off the road. Harris had only just stopped as well. Harris has put it off the road, and he's dropped down the order as a result.
It's Porsche curves, like I was saying. There we go.
Bang. Wait for it. Crunch. Oh dear.
Rear
That
suspension
may
is
well
gone.
be an unscheduled. Yep, it's an unscheduled pit stop coming his way. Harris is back in pit lane. Can you believe that? for drama. Oh, very, very costly considering that he'd only just completed a stop. And that's just about going to put him out of business as far as contention is concerned. Ben Wilkinson, 4th place. My Monday nights are about to get a little bit longer. I must say. Just here tonight, the Network 10 will relaunch or premiere a new season, I should say. Have you been paying attention the day after Mother's Day?
Good show.
Great show. Just a shame we never get to watch it live.
Oh, I think James said to slow down here. He's fallen back.
In October, it's because I'm 112 years and an hour behind you, and then the rest of the year, it's also because we're doing sim racing on a bloody Monday night. There's Glenn Wilkinson.
So
in 4th place, under pressure from Francone and Humphries.
So Francone's going to slow down, trying to fall back. Glenn's got in front, and then made a boo-boo, so now he's got them all over him again.
Like a cheap suit. And Francone now wants to go up the outside. They're all over the back of Chris Bleakley. This is the battle for 3rd on the racetrack. And the fact that we've got Nick Fodiatis jumping into the central commentary. Oh, trouble! Trouble for Wilkinson! Make the Armco! Wilkinson, too close for comfort, and pays the price. And it's a long road back to pit lane from there. He's got himself into the back of Francone, I think, here on the run. Yep.
Yeah, he's just missed just that braking point.
Absolutely he has. And it's a very, very big invoice that he pays as a result. The excursion through the gravel trap, the rejoin, and he drops down well off the back of the order there. Wilkinson 9.5 seconds down on this pack now. Nick Fodiatis joins us far too early for the sake of it, I'm sorry to say, mate. Nice to have you on board. You're back out there, but but you're half a lap down. There was an early unscheduled pit stop for you as a result of being an innocent bystander caught up in somebody else's nonsense.
Hi, good evening, Zach. Yeah, look, the Bailey Ladders, Supercar was actually quite good in that first race, and just in this one, yeah, caught up in somebody else's crap, and then I haven't had a slowdown at this track for ages, and then I've been just getting them left, right, and centre. So, and I'm driving the Henry, so I can't hear too well, but yeah, I'm just in it just to say hello, and yeah, 23rd position, man.
You come in at a good time, though, mate, because there is 9 cars on pit road right now. Basically, we've reached that window. 32 minutes of play. McDonald, Haynes, Francone, Bleakley, Humphries, Wilkinson, Ferguson, Ibert, Agathos, Franklin, Johnson, top 11 all on pit lane. So they're topping. I'd say they're topping up the tank completely right here and now. Adam Lavis.
Well, it's interesting because these guys haven't been saving some fuel. Obviously, they're just going flat chat. So they're coming into the 33-minute marker because I don't think they can make it to 37. So if they saved a bit of fuel, they might have been able to make it. But obviously, again, as I said, with this track being a fairly high percentage of full throttle, it's probably not helped them.
But in saying that, it's not as though it's going to compromise them at the back end. Because running 32, 33 minutes, that's going to get you to 64 to 66. But you're still inside that less than half hour to go window to get yourself home on 2 stops. But you're right, it is interesting to see how it's played out. But everyone down to 17th has made their way through this time by.
But it does mean those guys who have hit earlier do have to save a little bit to get that next lap.
That's right. That's exactly right. Oh boy, Nick. It's easier said than done around here, this place, isn't it? I mean,
7.3 litres a lap. It's going to be hard to save a lap of fuel.
But your general impressions, I mean, as you say, it's a long circuit. It's not without its trigger points. and it's trip-up points, but it's steeped in so much history and tradition, and that's one of the great reasons for us visiting here, and especially to do it so early in the season.
Yeah, look, it's good practice for the 24 if iRacing are hosting a 24. But yeah, this track fantastic at 13 kilometers at Wool, and like you said, steeped in tradition. I mean, watching the Imola 6 hour last night, or parts of it anyway, there was 17 hypercars. So I'm looking forward to when they get here in June.
You and me both. You and me both. That is going to be one hell of a weekend on the lounge, let me tell you. I'll just fall asleep with it on and drift in and out as the 24 hours rolls by. Interesting that we should talk about it though, because as you can see here, a lot of slipstreaming, a lot of drafting, a lot of dicing going on, but there's a few people out on their own, and it's a tough slog around here on your own in terms of trying to be A, quick, and B, economical on the fuel tank.
Yeah, oh look, it's, yeah. Unless you're in a tow, you're not going to save any fuel. So, yeah, it's just flat out Brussels sprout, really. Unless you're with somebody, and I'm
Absolutely.
9 seconds behind somebody and 3 seconds in front of somebody else. So, and I'm off sequence now because I had that damage. So, you just got to do the best of what I got.
Hey, while we've got you, talk to me about Friday night and the SRX NASCARs from your vantage point in the commentary box.
Yeah, we had 3 races. Myself and Joe still finding our feet. 3 races, I believe. Favel won race 1 and 3, and came second in race 2. Can't remember who won race 2. Adam?
Schultz.
Schultz. And yeah, third place was ever changing in that survey. It was actually a lot of fun. And funnily enough, the guys were saying, I can't drive these things, these are too hard. And by the end of it, they're all like, oh God, everybody come along and do this. So, as it happened last time when we did a NASCAR style car, it helps develop people with better throttle control and patience with their cars and not really ragging the cars too much, and it creates for faster races and better racing. So because they're, I guess, the closest thing to a V8 supercar, Favel was obviously head and shoulders above the field. But yeah, reverse grid second race, reverse top 10 third race. It was good fun.
And where are we off to this week, please?
Sorry, Zach, I've got you guys on very faintly, and this car's quite loud.
I was going to say, where are we off to this week for that? Oh, hang on, mate. We're coming back to you. Francone under pressure here from Humphreys. Francone holding on to 6 for the moment. They're trying to go with Bleakley. He, Humphreys, and Agathos. And they've got 11 seconds on Ferguson. Bleakley is 4.9 down on Neil, who's giving Camo a run for his money. The leader, McDonald, is out to the tune of 13.76 seconds. You may as well write the check now and kiss it goodbye. 52 minutes to play. We're going to be racing till just after 10 past 10 Eastern Standard Time, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, again, with it being Le Mans, such a long warm-up lap, and also, of course, a long layover between the time elapsing on qualifying and the server finishing and switching over to race trim. That's why the race start was much after 8:30 p.m. As far after 8:30 p.m. as the Melbourne Cup jumped after 3 p.m. last year, the scheduled start time. Of course, it was about 8 minutes past when they started. So there is a distinct difference there tonight from the regular start time for this term of 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. But make a note of that. Yeah, sorry, Nick, where are we off to this week for the NASCAR?
Watkins Glen.
Nice. Lovely trip.
NASCAR Cup route with no bus stop. Old school. So there's a big bump going into the carousel, and it should be interesting to see if it carts people wide or they get the pass done.
Chris McDonald, Oscar Haynes, the leaders here, but this battle is hard to take your eyes off. 4 deep, for positions 5, 6, 7, and 8 on the racetrack. Andrew Neal's just got by Bobby Camo for third. We ride with Humphreys. Agathos behind. Francone and Bleakley in front.
Guys, I'm going to duck out. I'm almost near my pit stop. I'll talk
No
to you
worries,
guys
mate.
afterwards.
Yeah, please do. We appreciate you stopping on by for a chat. Go well.
No worries, thank you.
Thank goodness he was in here to have a chat when he did, because just then I had to mute myself so I could sneeze. couldn't have timed that better, picking it up just to have a chat. Thank you very much, Nick.
Let's get dicey.
Oh, Humphreys. And also, of course, Francone. It is getting spicy. It's just the right point of the race for it to get spicy as well, Adam. Almost half race distance.
Ah, there we go. Jack does only free.
I was gonna say.
It's-
it looked as
oh,
though we just
so does Dimitri.
Pale white for a moment.
Oh, yeah, my
dear.
training pants was playing silly bugger, so there we go.
Excellent. We've got that sorted now for you. Kermit the Frog has entered the building.
It's Rexy, green Rexy.
Oh.
It's a real world livery.
there it is.
The little T-Rex arms on the side.
Very nice. Have a look at the teeth on the front. Round they come onto the main straight. Yeah, yep. The one thing that separates real world and sim world racing is the technology. Have a look at the sim world stuff. Livery changes partway through the contest. Have you ever seen anything quite as phenomenal and fascinating and even farcical as that? So, 48 and a quarter minutes to go. We are on lap 11. We've got Chris McDonald leading Oscar Haynes, Andrew Neal, Bobby Camo, Chris Bleakley, James Francone, Jack Humphreys, and Dimitri Agathos, who we are riding with at the moment in the Ferrari. Very good. Had some very good news come through on Facebook as well. Just a notification popping up with broadcast. You've earned a top fan badge for Amy Shark and can accept it now with pleasure.
Oh, Franco!
Oh, Franco! Maybe a little bit too early to be
Hey,
taking
that might have been a bit of an optical illusion with our camera angle there, but it did look a little dicey.
We might be able to get that on replay, can we? And just
There's
maybe
no,
not.
no, because
Oh,
it's
have
not
a look
the
at
Here
it
we go.
now. Have a look at it now in the slipstream, up the outside. Francone looking to have a look, looking to have a lunge. He's on the inside for the next corner, the left-hander. The floodgates have opened and Bleakley's been swamped. Humphreys wants a piece of that as well and takes it into 6th. Francone's in the top 5. Agathos is there in 8th still, up 19 spots off where he started and giving Bleakley the big hurry up. .46 minutes and 20 seconds to go. There's Hennessy in 10th place. So that's a 4-way fight for 5th. This is a 3-way battle for 9th. Hennessy is 10th, Ibert's 11th, Ferguson 9th, Mercedes v BMW v Audi, and then the Porsche of Lavender's another 15 seconds down the road. Adam Johnson, Darren Harris fighting over the same piece of real estate at the moment. Harris has gone by to 13th. Now pretty little distance between himself and both Johnson and Franklin. Harris to 13th. Not too many battle packs around this racetrack at the moment. Just two big lumps. Wayne Viz's parked up. Aidan Schultz, Tim Fuge, Robert McGrath, Elio Mirabella, and Eduardo Zamora all out of business. Unfortunately, Glenn Wilkinson's going to join them, having been in pit lane for 11 and 3/4 minutes now. And what's unfortunate for him there is, if it's going to go 22, 23 laps, we think 23, you've got to get to 18 to be classified at 75%. He's now 2 laps down, about 3 laps down. And here's Warren Ibert.
Yeah, that was what's been easy. Going side by side into the bush curves isn't going to end well.
So Ibert into 10th spot. Humphries. Oh, have a look at him. Defending as they head down to the S's and the chicanes.
Oh, Bleakley, sneaky move.
What about Bleakley? Whoa, opportunistic. Didn't wait for a second invitation. Bleakley dives down the inside to go into position number 5. The end of another lap. Bobby Komoda pit lane. And Bleakley's back in the top 5.
We just crossed away just before Darren had his moment.
No, Harris in the wall for the second time.
That's a hard one, too.
That one's more terminal, I reckon. He's back on pit lane. He has been for 20 seconds. That is Harris's night done. I'm going to wager.
Oh, Butler's had one as well.
Oh, dear. So, it's all going up in smoke for a few of them now. This is that point of the race where fatigue starts to kick in. It's a long lap. There's a lot of straights to it. But again, you've got to have the concentration required to be able to stay alert and stay out of trouble on the infield sections of this circuit. Because again, like Chicago, Armco, gravel, concrete, tyre barriers, all waiting for you. And when you muck it up. So past half race distance and 11 and a half gone at the 43 minutes to go marker. Agathos to the outside. Agathos puts his nose in front of Humphries and goes up into 6th place. Humphries then gets him back quickly on the inside. 6th and 7th. Agathos up 20 already. Up 20 already. Well worth keeping an eye on. Unfortunately for Nick Fodiatis, that's another off-track excursion.
Oh, checks another slowdown.
Oh, that kills you around here. We haven't seen much of Chris McDonald so far tonight, Adam Lavis, but that's because he's in a different postcode. He's 13 seconds up the road already. He's doing a Matthew Dench to the GT3 AM field here. Just owning this contest. Uh-oh. Humphries off the road. Humphries off the road. We'll have to see what that's all about because that's put him on the tow rope and he's in the lane. McDonald completes another lap, 12 gone. We reckon there's 11 to go. Time would certainly suggest that we've got enough to squeeze 11 in. I'd be interested to see where tyre wear is at the moment. But The only reason I say that is because the difference between McDonald's first or fastest lap, 3:58.065, and his recent lap, 3:59.027, is 0.038 shy of a second. Whoa, Humphries up and over and out. Humphries has had a big one. So that explains why he was on the tow rope. Harris is parked up. He's out of business. Philip Butler's done the same. Glenn Wilkinson too. All those guys have recently parked up. We are slowly but surely running out of contenders here. Humphries, if and when he should park up, will be the 10th retirement of the night already. Greg Padgett will be the last of the on-track runners. In 20th, he's the better part of 3/4 of a lap down on McDonald at the moment. But he's got a while before he'll have to worry about McDonald, given the length of the lap. No safety car to this point.
Can you see if Agathos set a lap time in quali? Because if he has, that's a decent effort to come up 21 spots.
Yeah. I don't have that information on me, if I'm honest with you.
And he wants more.
And he's got Chris Bleakley in his sights. I have a nasty feeling that he was one of the ones that didn't. But I may be wrong. McDonald, Haynes, Neal and Francone 1, 2, 3 and 4. The first on-track battle is this one for P5. And if Agathos can put himself in there, it'll be 3 Ferraris and 2 Porsches in the top 5. But at the moment, Bleakley's keeping a third manufacturer in the fight, and it is Mercedes. But not anymore. Agathos to the inside. He's had enough of sitting behind Chris Bleakley. He displaces him and moves on by. Harris, killed by the TC twice. Yes.
Yeah, once you do a little bit of slide, the traction control doesn't let you catch it. That's what he had there. His traction controls come in and hindered his performance.
Yep.
It can be a blessing and a curse at the same time.
100%. So that's really well done by Agathos to move on through. That's very unlucky for Harris to be one of the casualties here so early in the piece. And now Scott Jordanson finds himself on pit lane as well. So if and Humphries has been there now for 4.5 minutes, so I don't think he's coming out anytime soon. Jordanson, however, it'll be interesting to see. This is going to explain it. On replay, coming through the curves at the start of the lap. Uh-oh. Oh dear. A lot of right hand down on that, I would say.
He's got broken suspension, and then he's broken suspension and got stuck in the sand.
That's going nowhere but the back of the garage.
Well, Dimitri just said the fastest lap, first person in the 57s.
Ooh. Dimitri means business with clear air. 3:57.923. It's taken us 13 laps, 53.5 minutes to get ourselves below the 3:58 bracket. Liam Amos to pit lane. So there is... That's an early stop, actually, I'd imagine. But if he can make
nice
it
move,
work,
Trucker.
Trucker on Ben Goring. This is the battle for 15th on the racetrack, and Trucker's got his nose in front. Amos is on pit road. Jack Humphries is parked up for the night. Scott Jordanson may as well be. But Trucker has got on by. Now, Liam Amos's stop is interesting, Adam, because he's right on that cusp.
He's gonna
8-9 laps. He's got to get 9 out of the tank.
Yeah, he's gonna have to hope that they don't go in overtime.
Exactly. That could be his undoing. Oh, no. My concern isn't overtime. My concern is his ability to get 9 laps. Because 9 laps is all we've got left. There's 34.5 minutes on the clock. McDonald's going to come back to the line to complete lap number 14 in a minute. He's got a pit stop to come. There's no way we're getting any more than 9 laps out of. So the concern there is for Amos. Well, okay, he's going to have to get 10 unless he drops a lap. Unless he gets lapped between now and then. So, yeah. That could be interesting. Although that being said, he's that far down the order that if he realises that the tank's running dry, he might allow Chris McDonald to come through and lap him so as to put him out of his misery. Just joining us, 23 by 4 is 92. So there will be a bit of overtime attached to this. And the reason why is there are 2 pit stops also in there. So at least 3 minutes of overtime, I reckon, coming up tonight. And given that the pace is only 2 or 3 seconds this side of 4 minutes. And if you take 2 seconds off 23 laps, that's, 46 seconds or 3/4 of a minute. And you take 3 seconds off 23 laps, that's 69 seconds, so it's only 1:09. So, however you look at it, once you then add the pit stops into it, there's no way in hell we're not getting that 23rd lap unless they throw a safety car unnecessarily. In the meantime, Andrew Neil, with 9 laps to go, comes to pit lane. And this will be the stop for him to hopefully then
There we
get
go.
Uh-oh. Wide.
That is the easiest corner of the track to go wide on too. It's off camber, and if you just slightly miss the turning point, you're way off the medies.
Either backed out of it, thought better of it, goes through the chicane. Now can he set himself up for a crack at turn 1? What's the straight line of the Audi like in relation to the BMW? No, he's too far back already. He just did not get a good run onto the main straight. Ferguson joins Neil on pit road. And we're down to 19 in the field. Greg Padgett holds down 19th, up 12 spots. Bodiatis up 2 spots. Amos up 6. Goring up 13 from 29th to 16th. Trucker up 4. Pedersen up 8. We're now in that stage of the race where, because we've had so many retirements, we don't have too many losers in all of this. McDonald, Haynes, Franco remain where they started. Margin 12.8 seconds. Franco's another 40 down the road, or 27 down the road from Haynes, but 40 on the leader. That is unfortunately Martin Pedersen coming unstuck. Ferguson, Lavender on pit road still. Winners outweigh losers here. 23 for Agathos, 3 for Blakely, 5 positions gained for Hennessy, and then 9 for Ibert, 1 for Neil, 12 for Johnson, 7 for Franklin, 2 for Camo, 7 for Baldwin, making up the top 12 at the moment, 16 for Goring. Lavender, Pedersen still on pit road and about to jump and launch out.
So the interesting...
There goes Lavender, gone. 31 minutes to go, Adam Lavis.
It looks like it could just be that the Beamer is known for being a bit of a straight line handling car, but it could also be that Ibert might have a little bit too much downforce on, because he got it right beside the Beamer, and then the Beamer just started pulling away again.
That is an interesting observation from you. And you would know that yourself, that attention to detail, the sort of stuff that play-by-play commentators like me completely miss.
And you got the run on the slipstream, pulled out and hit the big wall of air and just deployed the parachute, and the beamer just took off again.
Yeah. So essentially what you're saying is he needs to almost ride the bumper bar.
It's probably going to be very hard for him to make a pass down the back straights. He's going to need him to do a pass somewhere into a corner, and preferably early on in a corner section, so that he can use that downforce to pull away. Otherwise, the beamer's going to just drag him right back in.
Round they come again. McDonald, Haynes and Francombe 1, 2 and 3, Agathos, Bleakley and Hennessy. There are 4 manufacturers in the top 5 at the moment. 7 in the top 20. Because we've still got a Lambo out there in Bangor, we've still got Nick Vodialis' Ford out there as well. So, still, the full complement of manufacturers that started this race remain in the contest. And Greg Padgett's back out there on the racetrack, having moved past Jordan Ferguson now. But for how much longer, I'm not sure. Ferguson down to 19th. And can we just clarify if he's parked up or not, Ferguson?
Yeah.
Looks like it. Yeah, parked up and done. It's just that he wasn't showing in blue as yet. He was showing in white. There's the time. Now that's the one thing we never got to at the start of the race. The track and weather conditions, ladies and gentlemen. We've still got clock moving twice as fast as it would in the real world. We've still got an hour where that came from. So it's going to be past 9 o'clock server time when this race ends. Hello, Queensland. That's what daylight saving looks like.
I'm just
Isn't that beautiful? April 22, 2024, 19 degrees the ambient, 21 on track, Adam.
Well, I'm 90% sure I looked at this. Oh, it was a bit of a slide there from Johnson. He saved it though. I'm 90% sure when I set this server up, it was going to end like a good 20 minutes, half an hour after sunset, so we should be in the dark. Now, the time is still doing the right thing, but the sun is nowhere near as low as I would expect to be at this point in time. So I'm wondering if with this Tempest thing, whether we've got the ability to turn the time on so the clock moves, but maybe the sun isn't playing ball.
Let me do some investigation. I'm going to go to a website called Time and Date. This will give us an indication as to the realism of iRacing server. Now, if I was to go and look for the day and night map, or the sun calculator rather, all I have to do is type in. I'm just going to type in Paris. Now, on April 22, it's saying April 21 server time. It's saying sunrise 6:45 a.m. and sunset 8:53 p.m. So if that's the case, 17 minutes after sunset, so that would be the final 9.5, 10 minutes of the race would be after sunset.
So we'll see if it gets there.
I
think the other week when we had the Atlanta race, similar thing, it didn't quite get as dark as I thought it was going to get. So I'm wondering if there's something with the new type of system where we're slightly getting mistreated.
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, you're right. But see, this is the thing. The argument is that Central Europe probably doesn't need to observe daylight saving, given how long the nights become now. Sunsets sometimes it's not until after 9, up to 10 o'clock. But I'm all for it, because otherwise they'd be having sunrise at a far less convenient hour of the morning.
So
at the moment, it says the sunrise or the daylight is 6:45 a.m. to 8:53 p.m. The civil twilight is 6:11 a.m. So that's essentially where that sunrise starts poking through. 6:45 a.m. is when the sun is up. So I mean, imagine that being 5:45 a.m. 14 hours and 8 minutes of daylight. Isn't that a beautiful idea? hello, Queensland again. This is what daylight saving looks like. It's beautiful.
Well, I don't think the daylight saving affects the actual amount of hours you get done.
No, you're right. It doesn't. But what I'm saying is
that's falling into
the daylight saving thing is to prevent the sun coming up at 5 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
I know, but yeah, the falling out that's falling into the argument they give of my curtains are going to fade.
Yeah, no, definitely not. No, we're not doing that. But yes. So yeah, sunset saying 8:53 p.m. So we'll see how accurate it is. Pit leaders on pit lane. McDonald and Haynes. Brancone still out there. Agathos, Bleakley, Neil, Johnson, Camo, Ibert. These guys could all come in now, top up and get home. We are inside 25 minutes to the checkered flag. It's a 7-lap race from here for Chris McDonald. So he just needs to take enough juice for 7 laps, not 8. Everybody in this time round, it would seem. McDonald on the jacks. And off again and gone.
They still get fuel.
Oh no, still waiting for fuel. There we go. 21.7 seconds.
But he's taking some tyres. He wants some fresh rubber because, as I said, the rubber will be starting to wear out, and you get a little sketchy through those S's.
20 seconds inside that 24-minute threshold. So it looks as though, quite comfortably, we will take this to 23 laps in about 3.5 minutes of overtime, I'd say. Exactly. That's the stupidity of it. That's why the yes vote didn't get up in 1992. There's Joe Baldwin, exit stage right.
Rear suspension is broken.
Unfortunately for Trucker, he'll be on the tow rope and in pit lane, and then we'll have another retirement for you, folks. Another one. Oh dear. And Jordanson's got back out there after 7 3/4 minutes on the lane. He's 2 laps down as a result. But yes. See, this is the thing, right? So the longest, I'm still on this website, ladies and gentlemen. If you look at June, around about that June 23 area, which is the week after the 24, daylight is at 5:47 a.m. to 9:58 p.m. So 16 hours of daylight with an extra 11 minutes on there for good measure. The civil twilight, that part of the morning where you can see that natural light poking through, is from 5:04 a.m. And then that nautical twilight kicks in, or that civil twilight kicks in from 9:58 through to 10:40. It's dusk after that. So 16-hour days. That's why they've brought. That's why they observe daylight saving, because even without it, you'd be seeing the sunset at 8:58 p.m. Now it's 9:58 p.m., but then at least the sun isn't up at 4:45 a.m. like it is up here. The French, the Europeans, they get it. And that's why you get these magnificent views each and every June when you go to the Circuit de la Sarre. That late mid-evening sunset. Beautiful concept. 22 minutes, 15 seconds to go. McDonald, Haynes, Agathos, Neil, Francone, Ferrari, Porsche. Then the 2 Mercs, Bleakley, Camo, the Audi of Ibert, the BMW of Hennessy. So what's that? 6 different manufacturers in the 10. Porsche's dominate the next few with Lavender, Franklin, Johnson, Goring in the Lambo, Pedersen the Porsche, and the Falcon, the Ford GT, I should say, of Nick Fodiatis, Amos Paget, and that's it. Because Baldwin's on the tow rope at the moment. Everybody else is just about out of contention. Greg Paget remains on the lead lap. There are 17 cars on the lead lap. And as I say, we are at 6 laps from home. Next time by the line. Adam Johnson going nicely at the moment.
He's
down the back straight.
He's definitely on the improve. He actually picked up a second place in Mountain Men on the GTEs this weekend. So probably one of his best results in the club. So good on him. I think he was on track for a third, but the old Hot Lap Merritt had 2 off tracks in the last 3 laps and lost the win, I think.
And the French enjoy this daylight. Oh, Jesus, Johnson! Johnson squeezing down the inside. He's got just the barest amount of room to pull it off. Eventually, Franklin yields and moves aside. but not without forcing the issue. The French started daylight saving on Easter Sunday, and it ends on Sunday, October 27. Last Sunday of March to the last Sunday of October. So they actually observe it for 7 months, as opposed to America's 8 months and our 6 months. So there you go. So the length of the concept varies only in the amount of days and months, but not in terms of the time. It's still 1 hour forward, 1 hour back concept. But yes, it varies in terms of how long it's applied for, depending upon which continent you're on. Unless you're in Queensland, of course, where you've got fucking a chance of seeing progressive civilization in your lifetime. Scott Jordanson, back out on the racetrack and back looping it. So yeah, keep an eye on that, Adam. What did I say? 8:53. So about.
Well, it is now getting
12
it is now getting
minutes
darker.
on.
So maybe
Yeah.
I was just getting caught because the shadows didn't look long on the cars. There was shadows on the track, but the ones from the cars didn't look that long. So I
Well,
almost got thrown
it's
off.
more also the fact that the clock's moving twice as fast as it normally would too. So that can be a little bit offsetting as well. Yeah. 20 minutes to go, 19 and a half in fact. You can see the artificial light of the headlights of these cars and the brake lights a little bit clearer now as the artificial light starts to take over. What a beautiful sight this is as we race into the night at the Circuit de l'Ossard. So I take it that means server time kicked in about 6 o'clock local. Just doing my numbers quickly on the fly here. McDonald, Haynes, Neal, Agathos, Francone, Camo, Bleakley, Hennessy, Ibert and Lavender the top 10. Everybody there has stopped twice. Camo is the odd one out. He's going to have to transit the lane again. Neal we're not sure about because 14 to 23 is a fair stretch of 9 laps. And Nick Fodiatis having stopped twice at lap 12 is also a concern. I don't think anybody else we're going to have to worry about just yet. Adam Johnson off the road. Adam Johnson off the road, loses out to Andrew Franklin. In the meantime, Bleakley continues on in his battle with Camo. Here is Johnson. Oh, just Porsche's doing Porsche things, is it? Yep. The rear end, gone. Uh-oh. There goes Bleakley. A little bit of time lost there on the entrance to the chicane. Too deep in. Compromises run out and gives Camo a little bit of breathing space. There we go. That is a perfect illustration of the sunset. Dimitri Agathos, an almighty run in fourth, looking good for a podium here. All the way over the back of Andrew Neal around the back of the circuit. Right there in the slipstream. Neal knows he's coming. Actually, it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing for Neal to let Agathos through here, Adam Davis. Just to try and save a little bit of juice in the toe.
Yeah, he does need a little bit of juice, so it would be a good racing strat to pull it off if he's thinking about that. Unless that's the problem is the red misses there. He sees he's on the podium currently. He doesn't want to give that up.
It would be in his best interest. Although has he calculated for overtime in that 23rd lap? My guess is that he hasn't. Back to the line we go. McDonald to the start-finish line. Now has 5 laps to go. The better part of 16 and a half minutes. So, again, 4 gets you to just under 16 minutes. So, that gives you an indication as to how much overtime we're in for, and it's over 3 minutes worth tonight. You can't argue with that. You're certainly getting your value for money in your investment tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the fence through the curves, though. It's really me.
Here
he comes.
Beautifully, Agathos.
Oh,
absolutely perfectly.
McDonald's fastest lap with those fresh tyres.
Yep, and 3:57.810. Agathos is right there. They can forget about catching McDonald. He's gone. Haynes is also gone. He's got 14 and 3/4 second deficit to McDonald, but he's got 27.5 back to this pair. So they are literally racing for the last spot on the podium. And bugger all else.
Oh,
He's
wide.
trying his Neil. He's trying to defend the line, but in doing that, he's brought himself potentially unstuck. Agathos down the inside. Ferrari to third. Dimitri Agathos. Gun steerer in karting, gun steerer in production car racing in this country. Now doing good things in GT3 racing on the virtual platforms. Great stuff. Down the back straight we go. Neil will try to respond, but Agathos has found his way onto the podium from 27th on the grid. This is awesome. It is huge. McDonald, Haynes, Agathos, Neil, Frencone. There are no other battles on the racetrack. This is it. It is literally, if these two divide, conquer and separate, it's going to be a fair snore to see us through to the checkered flag. Can I knock off? No, I'm not allowed to knock off. McDonald, Haynes, Agathos, Neil and Frencone, the top 5. So, again, Adam, I mean, we're looking at GT3 Pro at the moment and we're thinking, geez, it's going to be hard to stop Audi, especially with Dench behind the wheel of one this season. But Porsche and Ferrari have been formidable forces in particularly this split for a couple of seasons now.
You know, ever since the first came out, it's been a very popular car. It's a very nice car to drive. So it's been very popular amongst the sort of those guys in that sort of middle class type GT3 drivers, where they're not quite getting that last little few tenths, but they're just trying to get that comfort level to try and give themselves the pace. Oh, it's on again.
Here's Andrew Neil all over the back of Dimitri like a cheap suit right now. You're getting a very good look at Dimitri's
he's just given it to him.
And Neil decides, you know what?
That was Dimitri. Dimitri just said...
I rather was happy with where I was, and Dimitri was happy to let him go.
Yeah, Dimitri definitely lifted there and just said, I'll have a go.
He definitely didn't force the issue, did he? He was happy to let him go through. You want to lead from the front? Let's see if you can actually do it. If not, I'll have you back again. 4 laps to go for McDonald. As he comes towards the main straight. Neil in third. Agathos fourth. Will it remain that way? Hope you're enjoying our coverage of what's been a rather interesting 90-minute enduro for GT3 AM here with thanks to Waste Options. Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Agathos smashing the ripple strips through the final sector. Across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. And, yeah, exactly. I don't necessarily disagree with that idea. Stress budget. If you've also then got daylight at the back end of the day, which Queensland does not. It's all right over in Europe. They've got daylight at, 5 a.m, 4 a.m. even if they opted not to do daylight saving, but they've got 16 hours of it on a summer day. We only have about 14. An hour of it gets wasted at 4:30 a.m. All the way through to the fact that it absolutely wreaks havoc with regards to travel and business. That 1 hour makes all the difference. Being a delay and a lag. But anyway. Brock Bear 75 pointing out exactly what I was thinking. Have you got some internet issues at your end tonight, Adam?
I haven't seen it. It's just, ever since the lights started changing, it's started being a bit glitchy.
Copy that. All right. Bobby Camo had to come into pit lane. We expected that. He's out again, back down to 9th place. loses out to Hennessy and Ibert in the process. And now Ben Lavender as well. So Camo back to 10th, but now we've got 2 battles on the racetrack, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. Bobby taking one for the team there. Andrew Neil going along quite nicely. But the question on everybody's lips is, can he make it on fuel? There you go, Adam. You can see the artificial light taking over now. Well and truly. The closing stages. In the final 10 minutes now, we're approaching sunset at the circuit. Clock moving twice as fast as it would in the real world. So the final 8.5 minutes is past that sunset marker of 8:53 p.m. Now we're racing towards the checkered flag at around 10 past 9 server time. So Francone has all of a sudden worked his way back into this fight as well. Now that's interesting. Francone coming home with a wet sail here. Should Agathos be worried? That's what I'm curious to find out now. Last time around 402.4 for Neil, 401.7 for Francone, 403.6 for Bleakley, 402.4 for Agathos. Francone last time round was 0.7 of a second faster than Dimitri Agathos. Makes light work of Neil. Neil we're worried about on fuel. 8.5 minutes to go. We're at sunset. Server time at the Circuit de la Salle. And as you can see, those infield floodlights now lit up. The natural light disappearing. The artificial taking over. It's going to be spectacularly pretty. The end of this race and the scenic setting of it. Main straight. 3 laps to go.
Seems to become good now. Not any changes. Must be.
You're right. You're right.
Trying to run the broadcast as maximum as possible. I'm thinking must be something in that little transition period that was just going over the threshold of my PC.
Oh,
there's a slowdown. If you're on too wide of that corner, you'll get a slowdown. So I think he might have got away with that because he was only just over the line. But we'll have to wait and see if he has to pull aside. But it looks like he's all right.
Agathos pulled out to 2 3/4 seconds clear on this pair. Ferraris 1, 3 and 4. Porsches 2 and 5. Neil questionable on fuel.
Yeah, but he'd be lifting a coaster knee behind.
Oh, 100% he would. And reaping the rewards. 6.5 minutes to go. Don't worry about that. It is 2 laps at the line.
The trick thing
do some overtime tonight.
Tricky thing is he also doesn't want to lose the slipstream, so he's got to lift the coaster when he can, but then not lose time to the corners.
Yep. Got to go hard enough that he's not going to lose that toe, because if you lose that toe, you can forget about it. You can write a one-way ticket to pit lane. And Chris Bleakley is the one that stands to benefit from that. Everybody else, I think, is a little bit too far back to benefit from it. Hennessy, Ibert, and Lavender. But and Neil wouldn't be able to get in and out in 18 seconds in the time that and the buffer that he has between himself and Chris Blakely.
Another little battle starting to brew back here.
Thank goodness. About time. There haven't been enough of them. This is Lavender, Camo, and Franklin. Maybe I should have had a fourth coffee today. Too late now. 5 1/4 minutes to go. 2 laps at the line. McDonald on his way home to what's going to be a very comfortable and commanding win. Adam Lovis. He has not been headed tonight. I mean, basically has led from the outset, which is a fair reflection of the pace he had in qualifying.
Yeah, himself and Dimitri wants to get the 57s. Oscar go 58, but everyone else like 59s and 4s. So yeah, they definitely found a little bit more than the other guys this track tonight. It was interesting though, because we I shared the results from the last time we were here in 23C for the M split, and they were doing sort of more mid to like 56s and 55s, I think. So a little bit of time lost in the way the iRacing have played with the cars over the last 6 months, or could be track conditions. You never know. But yeah, a little bit of time there.
Indeed, there is.
Be interesting to see when we look at the.
You're right.
When we look at the pro results to see what times they're doing.
Yep. So we're still some way off the checkered flag here. We've just gone 7 past 8 in the west, 7 past 10 in the east, and 7 past midnight on Tuesday morning over the Dutch in New Zealand.
9 p.m. local time.
Sorry?
Game server, 9 p.m. local time.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. So, I mean, we're as close as we're ever going to be to accurate reflection of server time to sim time adding up and matching up.
Oh, Dimitri must have just pipped McDonald's lap because he's just matched the 57.81, but he's got a purple, so he must have been done it by a couple of thousandths.
Yeah, 3:57.805 plays 3:57.810. How close do you like it?
On a 4-minute lap time.
The fastest lap of the race by 5 thousandths of a second.
Oh, no, Jono.
Oh, geez. Adam Johnson. A big slide, a big off. He is 12th. He's unchallenged in that position at the moment. He can't afford another one of those. Porsche curves. Brings them undone all the time, doesn't it? Bang. Oh, that is a fair, sizable shunt. A lap and a half to go for McDonald. Next time by the line, white flag flies. We'll go to 23 laps. And still this battle continues between Francone and Neil. Neil happy to sit there. And Francone content to let him do so. Oh, no, actually not anymore. Francone, has he picked up a slowdown? Oh,
looks like
boy,
it.
Game-changing moment. Francone has picked up a slowdown. Neil goes back to 4th, and now the question is, how is he on fuel? Still 13.5 kilometres to get through once they get through this lap. And all of a sudden, the game changes again. It's Ferrari, Porsche, Ferrari, Porsche, Ferrari. Agathos up 24 spots with the fastest lap. And a minute 50 on the clock. As I said at the top of the broadcast, we because of the carryover time, there's Nick Valdiatis coming in for stop number 3. And because of the carryover time between the end of the 30 minutes allowed for qualifying and how long it took for it to kick in then to the race server and how long that warm-up process was, that's why we're slightly over time later than usual as far as our race finish is concerned tonight, folks. It'll be a similar problem when we get to the Nordschleife too, don't worry. I'm trying to be here for that one, but I'm not sure yet, given where it falls on the calendar. Waste Options GT3 AM. Hope you're enjoying the show. Monday Night Motorsport platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. 1 lap to go this time by for Chris McDonald. You should see Barney waving the white flag. We were very, very close to time lapsing in Chicago. In fact, my clock said 25 minutes had elapsed by the time he got the white flag. the race leader, the race winner in the Super 2 and Super 3 server. No such issues here because we've got 30 seconds on the clock as Chris McDonald comes to the main straight to see the white flag this time by. One more time around. Let's go.
All right, we've got another lazy Barney.
We do have a lazy Barney. The prick's nodded off. I get it. I could too at the moment, but someone's got to wink at the broadcast, haven't they? The ship. Trenton Naylor making a good point. Well done to all the boys keeping the lead foot into it for 90 minutes. I mean, it is a tough slog. It's a taxing workout for these guys. There's been a fair rate of attrition attached to this race. Scott Jordanson's down 3 laps, but he'll still be classified because he's got past that 75% threshold. And Andrew Neil does have to bite the bullet and get a lap of juice. There you go. So, unfortunately, that answers that. Francone will go through. Bleakley probably will as well. That'll give us 3 manufacturers in the top 5. And, yeah, Andrew Neil, that's rather unlucky. Very, very unlucky.
It's a slight misjudgment earlier in the race. It's cost him the end.
Bleakley goes to 5th.
Oh, no!
Trouble! Bobby Camo, off again.
Compared to how that could go, that's probably the best way that's ended up.
That's actually, it's important to note that he was an early stopper as well. He's had to stop 3 times tonight. So, costly night for anyone that's had to transit the lane a 3rd time in a 2-stop race. Dimitri Agathos, 3:57.715. No doubt about who's got the fastest lap now. He's done it by a good 1/10 of a second. Lavender surrenders. Franklin holds on to 9th.
I think Bobby's going for a 4th stop.
You're right, he has. Camo into the lane one more time. Clinical performance from Chris McDonald, this. Awesome performance from Oscar Haynes. The Porsche just couldn't go with the Ferrari tonight. And Dimitri Agathos, what a drive that has been. Through the field. 24 spots to P3. Now, Bleakley to 5th. Neil has come back out in 6th place. He's 13 seconds down the road on Bleakley. So that answers that.
30 seconds either direction.
And all for 6 seconds of fuel. All for 6 seconds of fuel. Hennessy, Ibert, Franklin, and Lavender. So you've got 5 different manufacturers in the 10. The first of the Lambos is outside in Ben Goring in 13th place, up 16 spots. And the Ford of Nick Fodiatis is still out there and soldiering on. Greg Padgett's gone down a lap now on Chris McDonald, but he'll come home in 18th and Jordanson will be 19th. Field will be only split by 2 laps. First of the retirements, Ferguson, one of 11 tonight. But Chris McDonald's on his way home in the dark at the Circuit de la Sarthe. This has been as clinical can be for an AM split competitor. He has just wiped the floor clean with the competition tonight. 90 minutes of not putting a foot wrong and just gradually easing out into a very commanding position where he has been 10, 12 seconds clear of the field for much of the night. He's led every lap. He might not get the fastest lap here, but he's led every lap along the way. And this is a victory for the ages for him. 3.5 minutes of overtime required to get that 23rd lap in, but it's all for the better. Last turn, checkered flag. McDonald will get the job done at Le Mans. And that prick's not even going to wave the checkered flag for him.
He at least had it in his hand, though.
What the hell was that? The race is done at the Circuit de la Sarthe. McDonald is victorious, 10.8 the winning margin over Haynes, then Agathos, then Francone. And look at this, Dimitri, all the way to the checkered flag, hassling lap traffic here. Don't get in any trouble now, son, you've driven beautifully. Agathos to 3rd, 2 Ferraris on the podium, the Porsche in the middle. McDonald victorious by 10.84, that was the winning margin. Haynes came home with a 3:57.861. And it's Agathos that gets the fastest lap of the night. There'll be a fair bit of overtime attached to this because there's still a lot of drivers to come round to get the checkered flag. The last of whom will be Nick Fodiatis.
He's only just between the two chicanes in the back straight now.
How the hell in amongst all of that did Nick manage to stay on the lead lap? That's extraordinary. So well done to him. And yeah, we'll wait for him to come round. He will be the last of our finishers here. Fourth to Francone, fifth to Bleakley. After spending much of the night in sixth, he found his way into the top five. That four-way fight in the mid stages of the race was fantastic viewing, but in the end, she ended rather processionally, for lack of better words. Neil in for sixth, and then Hennessy, Ibert, Franklin, and then Lavender. He's going to come home in 10th. Adam Johnson has got himself back to 11th as a result of Bobby Camo's final pit stop, and then Goring will be 13th. Martin Pedersen, Joe Baldwin, Liam Amos, and young Nick Fodiatis makes up those that finished on the lead line.
Jono's lucky it's a sim because there's no way a Porsche with front end damage late would ever get home.
No, exactly. And then the rest of the finishers take us through Greg Padgett a lap down and Scott Jordanson 2 laps down. And that is the way it played out. Round 2 of the Waste Options GT3 AM Series in the books at the Circuit de la Sarre. Let's have a look as we wait for the rest of the cars to come round. Back through the retirements tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and I just want to read these names out once and acknowledge them. The first listed, the last of them was Jordan Ferguson, Jack Humphreys, Darren Harris, as we heard, traction control bit him hard twice. Philip Butler, Glenn Wilkinson, and Wayne Vizeraid and Schultz. Tim Fuge, Robert McGrath didn't last any more than 2 laps. Elio Mirabella only lasted 1, and Eduardo Zamora didn't even complete a lap tonight. Good race, that. Really good stuff. And sure, it wasn't the most thrilling conclusion that we've ever seen, but there were still moments along the way that kept us intrigued and engaged, and still sparked our interest. Nick Fodiatis on his way home, limping it to the line. He's going to run out of fuel, isn't he?
He just pitted though.
He's just coasting to the line.
He literally just went to the pits.
Well, to be fair, it doesn't really matter. I mean, he can limp it to the line. It's not as though he's racing anybody or anything. He just needs to get it home before the server boots him to pit lane. We're now 7.5 minutes into overtime as far as this race clock is concerned. We won't want to get to 9. We won't. Here's Fodiatis going through the last 2 corners now. Round onto the main straight. Takes the checkered flag. That is all she wrote. And it is now properly dark at Le Mans. All right, let's as we wait for it, Adam Lavis, let's have a look at the championship not the championship standings, but the championship schedule, the rundown of where we're going from here, and also there are the results from the race that was. So 10.8 in the end, the winning margin. Only 3 cars within a minute of the leader. Everybody else well outside. Big margins. I agree with what Simon was saying. Rain would have been fun, but it wasn't to be. Maybe for the Nordschleifer. Maybe for the Nords. If not, certainly Bathurst. There's the schedule. There's where we're going. That's what's ahead. Oh, actually, no, that's the supercars. That's Super 2. GTs. There we go. I am just slightly disappointed that I'm not going to be here next week. Have a look at that. Sebring. I don't think Nick Fodiatis will be racing this weekend's presence next week. Sebring for sprint racing, then the Red Bull Ring for sprint racing, then Mount Panorama Bathurst for 60 minutes if you don't mind, then off to the Nordschleifer for 90 minutes, Suzuka for a sprint round, Road Atlanta for a sprint round. I'm here for all of those sprint rounds except for Sebring. and then the Portimao circuit, the Algarve International Circuit in Portugal. And it's funny, we have Algarve, but we don't have Estoril. And Road America to finish us off Monday, June 17. Very nice. Jared Knight and Greg Heaney have jumped in to say g'day to us, Adam Lavis, which is a good cue for us to go and have a look at those pro split results if we may. But in the meantime, Greg Heaney and Jared Knight, Simon, was it Simon Cox or Simon Nicholson? I'm not sure. I think it was Coxie that made the point that it would have been nice to have some rain tonight. We didn't get any in the AM server. I take it you guys didn't get anything in the pros.
No, dry as, though I don't think it would have slowed PGZ down at all. They kind of just walked away from us.
Yeah, it was Nicholson, just for confirmation. So there are the results for you. I'll get to them in just a moment. I want to read through those, Adam. Leave them up on the screen for me. Dry as a nun's nasty is essentially what Greg Heaney was going on to say. To take a line away from the great Billy Birmingham, of course, and his pitch reports from Bombay. Simon Nicholson, continuing strong form. I mean, yeah, okay, it didn't go to plan for him. Pit lane speeding last week brought him undone, but he's back with a vengeance tonight. 23 laps later, led 22 of them, Dench led the other one at 3:53.552. So, I mean, the guys were 4 seconds up the road on the AM split competitors that you've just seen here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Extraordinary numbers that. Nicholson from Dench, and the margin from Nicholson to Dench is startling. 20 seconds, and then another 26 back to Richard Mitchum. 90 home to fourth. Aaron Cooper, Ash Collins, Nick Wood, David Johnson, Fred Kahn, Stephen Banks took us back to 10th. Then Foster, Brooks, Mulder, Burhop, Hooper. If we can scroll down, Adam. Let's just remind everybody of how it all wrapped up there. And still it keeps scrolling.
I think we had 40.
I'm just looking for where you are in all of this, Mr. Heaney.
Screwed on the parade lap.
Okay. Oh,
So-
holy moly. Have a look at the numbers. Have a look at the entry list. 33rd position home and 49 or 48 starters. That is just extraordinary.
Yeah, we
what
were
a
kind of
field that would
feeling
have
for
been.
you. We were kind of feeling for you whilst we were sitting there waiting to grid up, because you probably wouldn't have got the entire grid out before we started rolling to the green.
Well, you guys don't know that we were broadcasting the AM split tonight, do you?
No, some of us did.
Oh, some of you did, yes. But no, we would have dead set struggled. But I mean, Adam, if I can bring you in before I have a chat to these blokes, and we've got Chris standing by to have a chat about his victory in AM as well. To have, what's that? We had 30 cars start here, 49 over there, 48 over there, 78 cars across the two splits. Quite extraordinary and quite impressive.
Yeah, it's good numbers. Good to see. Not quite the 100 plus we had back in the COVID days, but that's a very good turnout for non-COVID times. So good to see the nice big strong fields.
But in saying that as well, we also were running 3 splits in the COVID times as well. Such was the interest. So I mean, for 2 splits, those numbers are terrific. All right, Joe Baldwin's here as well. We'll get to him in a moment. Jared Knight, Greg Heaney here, and so too Chris McDonald. Looks like it's just us 6 gentlemen. To start with you, Greg, you were saying, I want you to continue and elaborate for me and then just talk me through the rest of the night. Screwed on the warm-up lap, I believe was the quote.
Well, yeah, balked, or whichever way you want to look at it. I think it was unfortunate. Everybody's sitting on the grid and the back and forth. Are we going to go single file, double file, whatever it is? So on the way there, everybody's kind of settled on going single file, and everybody decided to slow down ridiculously coming into the last chicane before the start. And being 25 cars back, that put me at about the pit lane entry, and everybody kind of came to a stop. And I think it may have been Braden O'Loughlin, unfortunately, that's met with the back of my Lamborghini, and I don't think his Porsche was going to be capable of making it to the end of the lap. So I managed.
He was definitely driving a Porsche, not an Aston Martin.
Well, it certainly looked like a Porsche.
I think everyone was just
nice
testing the
little
theory to see
drive-by
if it
on,
was
Lance
actually
Stroll, if you don't
Stroll.
mind.
Well, I know the back of my car didn't look like an RB, so. But no, unfortunately, I don't think he made it through. Was capable of making it through the lap, so he towed, and then I think he ended up just putting it away. I persevered round, got it repaired, and just cycled through the end.
I was going to say, makes it very hard, mate, doesn't it, when you've got an invoice right from the start, especially in what was a two-stop race, on such a long lap, when you lose that 40 to 45 seconds, whatever it might be, it makes a rod that you're unable to get back.
Oh, very much so. I mean, admittedly, I was able to get an extra lap of fuel into the car because I'd already cycled a lap, and I was like, well, I've got a tour pit lane, so I might as well top it up. So when everybody had done their first stints, I was then back into a little bit of traffic for a lap, so at least I had 4 minutes of driving with other cars before I had to pit. And then it was just a few cars here and there, but yeah, that was about it really. It was just a matter of keeping it between the lines and pointing in the right direction for me tonight.
And again, you just essentially roll through the motions, don't you? It does make it difficult though, because as you roll through the motions, you basically know that you're racing. Well, you're not likely to score any championship points. You're just out there for the fun of it, but the fun of it's evaporated by the fact that it's a case of what might have been, mate.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, for me in the Lambo, I'm probably running a little bit too high a downforce on the back of the car to keep it stable through certain parts of the track. But so I was lacking a little bit in top end. But yeah, I mean, credit where credit's due to the rest of my guys. Ryan started a fair way down the field, managed to finish in the top 15, I think it was. And Fred, for somebody, as he said before I jumped over here, that hasn't raced on this track before, particularly in the BMW, let alone the track at all, managed to finish inside the top 10. Aiden would have been in the top 5 had he not copped a pit lane penalty for a speeding infringement like I did last time we were here. He then basically just, put it away. Matt Schmidtke did all right as well. He finished higher than I did. He managed to gain a few places. Jackson unfortunately didn't make it tonight, so we had 5 of us on track at least. So it was a good show from the boys.
Indeed. I was going to say, as far as your stable's concerned, I mean, we've been marvelling in the development and the progress of Aidan Luthwaite. Last week, of course, Zach Christie was rather fed up and disgusted with how life was treating him in the server. Did we manage to talk him around or not?
No, unfortunately not. So I managed to, in the space of a day, lose a driver and gain a driver.
Yeah.
So here's what it is. Look, I mean,
if
he doesn't want to be there
in this caper, isn't it?
Sorry, what was that?
I was going to say the recruitment game in this caper is fairly on song. It doesn't take long to, once someone sees themselves out, to bring someone in to fill the void.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Was it Josh Salino just said don't pinch him for the enduro duties because he's obviously on race duties for that one. So I was like, no, I'm not pinching him for that. I'm only pinching him for the GT3s.
Exactly. Now
I did throw a bone out to Adam Hennessy, who we're currently watching at the moment, but I didn't get a response back. Not yet, anyway.
Oh, very nice. Hey, look, I don't want to hold you guys up too much longer. Of course, it's already 10:30 p.m. But Le Mans, I mean, it's magnificent for endurance racing, but really compared to the enduro that we do come here for once a year, this is merely a sprint. Is it a good circuit for this calendar, in your opinion?
Oh, it's always good to drive here. I've no issues. Even if I'm, as I was tonight, just turning laps pretty much by myself. I think at the worst, I think I had about 6 seconds each way, but it's always a good track to drive.
How do you reset, take stock of this, push it to one side and press on for next week, mate? Sebring, similar playing field in the sense that there's a lot of long straights and a lot of good overtaking opportunities, but it's a circuit that's bumpy as all hell and fraught with potential trip-up points.
I don't mind the track, but in amongst that, I've got to get some laps in for that for next week, but I also got to get some practice laps in the Ferrari for Laguna for the Enduro the following week.
You're chasing the apex. What a track that needed some rain to fix the disaster fuel mistake. Yeah, that's exactly right. Unfortunately, there were a couple that fell foul of the fuel mileage around here in the lap counters. And 3.5 minutes of overtime in the AM split alone, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it to you. In saying that, Sebring brings us back to sprint racing, which is something we love on a Monday night. Greg, we're looking forward to the first sprint round of the season, and that invert top 10. It's going to be on in earnest in those early stages of that second race.
Oh, most definitely. Watch turn 1 and turn 2. It could be a car park at turn 3, or at least a parts department.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if the numbers continue running the way they are, if we see these numbers continue to present on a Monday night and line up on the grid, qualifying next Monday night is going to be particularly challenging because that infield section at Sebring's rather narrow.
Well, yes, keeping in mind, though, being that it's a sprint round, it is single quali, it's not open, so we should be okay.
I didn't realise that, and I do apologise, only because I normally log into the server, as you know, via Adam Lavis about 2 minutes before we go racing, as we're still wrapping up the supercars. So that eliminates that issue, but it'll make it fairly congested, no doubt, in those early stages, as you say. Look to turn 3 to potentially be a car park. What's next for the stable, mate? How are we looking for week 2?
Yeah, we're doing all right. Myself, I've got we've got SFLs and Vs on
yes, and
on Thursday after the football. Hopefully the Dons get up. And then some SRX again on Friday night.
What did you make of those last week, mate?
Absolutely great fun to drive. If anybody doubted the speed of Greg Favell, which is what I said to Harry on Friday just gone, drive him in one of those and good luck.
Yep, correct, Amundo. Hey, Greg, bad luck, mate. Sad to see your race compromised so early in the piece. You weren't alone tonight. A lot of casualties across both supercars and GT3 along the way, but at least, unlike many, you were able to get to the finish line, mate, and that's the main thing. Onwards and upwards for the rest of the campaign, and 2 bites at the cherry next week.
No worries. Thank you very much.
And good luck on Anzac Day as well. Never easy being a football supporter on the biggest day on the calendar. Of course, both 3 games of the NRL, 2 of the AFL. My team plays the primetime spectacle on Thursday night on Anzac Day, does the mighty Melbourne Storm, so looking forward to that, and top of the ladder at the moment as well, just quietly, so yes. One eye, I'm not here Thursday night, I'm in Wollongong, but one eye will be focused on the dinner conversation I'm having with my beautiful friends that I'm catching up with down there. The other will be looking for the nearest big screen with whichever establishment we go to for dinner, so to keep an eye on the footy. Good on you, mate. Go well.
No worries. Cheers.
Chris McDonald, let's bring you in at this point in time. Congratulations, mate. Very well done. Clinical performance. Led from the outset and just took off into the sunset, literally.
Yeah, just about. Had a pretty good start and didn't really see anybody for the next hour and a half, essentially, after the first 3-4 laps.
Very, very lonely when you go on a Sunday cruise or a Monday night drive like that. I mean, we do see it from time to time. I mean, it does make it rather, I guess, lonely for you at the front end of town, a little bit processional, but in saying that, it's the best place to be because you're away from incidents, away from drama. The biggest psychological challenge, I guess, that you guys face is just keeping your mind on the task at hand dotting the I's, crossing the T's, hitting your markers, not putting a foot wrong to drag yourself back to the chasing pack, mate. So talk me through that, because you're not so focused on racecraft per se as you are on running practice and qualifying laps, really.
Yeah, well, I did a little bit of quick math halfway through to make sure I'd get enough fuel for that second stint. I had a feeling there was going to be overtime, so just chucked another lap of fuel in there. So trying to do math on the straights kind of kept me staying for a couple of laps there to get through. But yeah, through the middle there, it got a bit repetitive, just trying to get through it. But then was it Dimitrios beat my quickest lap at some point through, so had a little bit of a stint trying to push to beat that, which kept me entertained for a bit. And then he snuck one through right. I beat him again, but then he snuck one through right in the second last lap. So I was beating him through that, and then I got a off track on the. I got a slow down. Sorry, coming out of the back end of Porsche curves. I would have beaten it, but yeah, didn't quite get the perfect race, but we'll take it.
That also explains why you only finished 10.8 seconds up the road after leading by a bit more than that for much of the night. And as far as Dimitri Agathos is concerned, I can't wait to run the proposed new nickname of Dimitrios by him when I see him at Sydney Motorsport Park in a couple of weeks. So well done for giving me ideas that I shouldn't run with, Chris. The Ferrari hooked up nicely, mate. This is the first time we've showcased an M race this season. Why the Ferrari in your viewpoint? I mean, obviously there's 8 manufacturers to choose from. Every one of them's got their strengths and weaknesses. Is it a car performance thing? Is it a driver creature comfort thing? Why the Ferrari?
I'd actually never driven the Ferrari until like 2 weeks ago. I just try to rotate through a different car each like league season. So did the Porsche, did the Merc, and thought I'd give the Ferrari a go. I absolutely hated it for months until recently. I just finally sort of understood the trail braking on it, found a bit of pace, and thought I'll run it this season and hopefully squeeze a bit more out of it.
I guess there's only a couple more questions that I can ask you when you have a run as quiet as that. I mean, it's a good thing to be at the front and out of the line of sight of not just competitors but also broadcasters, because it means that you've had nothing to capture our imagination or our attention, mate. But we did notice some fresh rubber for the final stint. What was the tyre wear factor like, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't think it was really a factor at all the whole way through, but I figured I've got the time and it's going to be basically full tank with the extra time coming in. So I figured just on the off chance there is some degradation at the end, I'll chuck a new set on. It didn't really affect anything, but thought better safe than sorry with a big lead. I'd hate to lose it through the Porsche curves at the end for no reason.
Well, that's fair. Now, the 2 stints that opened the race for you, I think they were 8 and 8. Did you have anywhere near enough juice to entertain stretching that out to 9, or was there really no need to even have that discussion with yourself?
Yeah, in practice that was kind of the plan, but once I sort of burst that lead out, I figured I could afford to chuck a few extra litres in the tank and just run it through. I figured trying to get a bit more pace out just in case that seemed like there's a pretty decent little pack behind, so I didn't want them to work together and catch up. It was still sort of 8-second gap, I think, at that point, but just thought I'm just going to push and going to have to do 2 stops anyway. What's a couple extra litres?
That's fair, especially on a circuit where obviously the length of the track and therefore the amount of fuel that you burn per lap. I mean, there's no margin for error there. You don't want to be getting caught short half a lap from home.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was trying to do the math on my second stint. I was looking at the timer going, I feel like we're going to get an extra full lap here, despite only being like 30 seconds over. I was thinking I'm just going to take the extra fuel. It's not going to cost me that much time. I think if it was bit of a closer battle up top, I'd probably have to really reconsider my pitch strategy, but I was pretty fortunate that wasn't really a factor having that nice healthy lead there. I could just sort of run it.
Well, if ever there was a way for you to tune into the commentary, we usually punch the numbers for you. And I'm very glad that you kept up the pace and the tempo that you maintained from the outset, because our calculations were that you were, because of the expanded fuel tanks for GT3 this season, therefore one less run down pit lane, you were always going to get to 23, but as we said, with a fair chunk of overtime attached to it. But that's value for money for you guys. Thoughts on the rest of the season, mate? We go into sprint mode next week. Do you like the concept of A, Sebring, and then B, short, sharp, jabby races compared to tonight, and C, the invert of the top 10, and therefore the challenge of overtaking and flying those racecraft traits that you didn't necessarily get a chance to flex and work tonight?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely a pretty strong enduro driver generally, but I do enjoy the sprints a lot more, getting much more in there in battle-y. So yeah, it should be a good little race there. I haven't had too much luck in the sprints the last season. There's always seemed to get caught up in a bit of chaos in the second leg, which obviously is where most of the points are. So lost quite a few points there last season at I think all the sprint tracks. I had a good run in Alton in the first leg, and then second leg didn't even get out there for second lap. So I guess that's sort of the beauty and the bad part of sprint races. You sort of get a bit of both. Yeah, they're a lot of fun, but yeah, you're sort of riding on that line a lot more. But yeah, it'd be good to get back in there and battle with some people after a pretty much lonely drive out there today.
No, mate. Congratulations. Phenomenal drive from you. Emphatic victory. A little bit of argy-bargy and arguing the point for Oscar Haynes in the outset probably helped you just draw away from the pack. And once they lose the toe around here, it's curtains, kiss it goodbye. And you just capitalised on that and went on with it, which was to your advantage and to everybody else's I guess dismay. It's a case of what might have been for them. Have they been able to reel you in and keep you there in the early stages, it could have been a different race altogether. But no, well done, clinical, and a deserving winner. The Ferrari on top in the AM split tonight, the first of 3 mini enduros for the season. The only distinct difference with the calendar this season, ladies and gentlemen, being that it's now 3 90-minute races and 3 60-minute races, along with those standard 4 sprint rounds, and of course the uncertainty of weather for the first time ever on the platforms of the GSRC and the Waste Options GT3 Championship. Chris McDonald, well done. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Cheers, Zach.
Rightio, Nighty and Trucker. Let's bring this baby home. Nighty, to you, a top 5 finish around Le Mans. Never an easy thing to achieve. Talk us through your night. Again, we didn't see your race, and are you happy with what's transpired here?
Yeah, mate, considering I could barely put 2 laps together in practice over the weekend, yeah, to go through 23 laps and only have 1 incident point, it was a stellar night. And, yeah, just unfortunately we sort of got split off from the top 3 in the early laps, and yeah, sort of struggled. They just sort of drove off into the sunset, using each other, sort of slingshotting each other, and yeah, we just sort of battled on our lonesome for a little bit. Had a half decent battle for the mid part of the race with Aiden, and yeah, I was actually going to ask Greg what he come foul of in the second pit stop, and it was a bit of a shame because that was probably going to be fairly nice towards the end, and yeah, we're just trying to keep it clean, and yeah, this Fez isn't a bad car.
Indeed, and I mean a great result for you, especially when you say you couldn't string 2 laps together in practice, but a challenging night all the same because of the size of the field, mate. You must have been relieved to be at the pointy end of that and to be able to avoid most of the trouble. And I guess the other point that I want to make here for everybody at home is vast distinct differences between the 2 races tonight. The AM and Pro GT3 splits provided very little in the way of incident points compared to the crash and bash fest that we saw at Chicago for the Super 2 and Super 3 in the entree. But Nighty, the importance of qualifying around here wouldn't have been lost on anybody tonight.
Yeah, like you said, with the size of the field, and yeah, I thought we sort of come to a gentleman's agreement about the sort of going single file while everyone was just sitting on the grid. So I thought that would have been sorted out. And yeah, once I think we were taking sort of turn one, and yeah, there's a few people blowing up on comms coming through the last chicane. So yeah, I'm not too sure what happened there, but yeah, no, it was just a case of just keeping it nice and clean, and not a whole lot of downforce. So rear was nice and twitchy. So yeah, just trying to keep it straight and trying to be fast.
And again, a two-stop strategy for you guys. I'm reliably informed, 23 laps, but the pace there just a little bit hotter than what it was here in the AM split, mate. Any issues for you along the way? Tyre wear and the like?
Nah, like Chris, I took tyres, but yeah, I don't think it was really much of a muchness. I took them in the first stop, just in case they sort of started to fall off towards the end. But yeah, fuel was, I think we ran 8 lap stints by the front two, who managed to drag out 9 lappers and still be second and a half faster than everybody else. So yeah, God knows how they do that. But yeah, no, it was just fairly simple strategy. Just drive nice and clean and get in the box, and yeah.
Did you find yourself in any positional battles along the way, mates? Again, flying blind on what to ask you here because we've only seen the results board.
Yeah, I was battling Aidan Luthwaite for a little bit.
Nice.
Just sort of come foul of a couple of slowdowns at some inopportune times. So he probably had overall pace on me, but when I was able to obviously sit in the draft, it was nice. And it was just a bit of a shame that he got stuck with the speeding penalty. And I was actually coming over the wet sail towards Richard. Yeah, he tells me he was just cruising, but yeah, I'm not too sure if he's trying to bluff me there. So yeah, we dragged about 7 seconds in the last 6 laps, and yeah, basically on his bumper coming through the last chicane. So that was good fun. But yeah, relatively fairly lonely race. Aaron and Ash were trying their best to slingshot each other to try and catch up to me and have a little HTS train going, but every time they started getting some time back, they started getting some slowdowns. But that's just the nature of this track, unfortunately.
The sprint rounds that follow, of course, they have been in the past, the Achilles heel of one M Dench, but I guess he's got a bigger issue at the moment, and that is the pace of his teammate Simon Nicholson. 20 seconds up the road tonight. It's unheard of that one M Dench is on the receiving end of a hiding that big. However, in saying that, your thoughts on whether Dench is beatable or not, and your thoughts on Sebring and sprint rounds, and what you're looking forward to most and least about that?
I'm looking forward to strapping a bit of downforce on the cars. We've had 2 tracks that haven't run a whole lot of downforce, so you're looking forward to it, adding a bit of wing and having a bit more play in the rear. And yeah, obviously Denchy is beatable. Like, yeah, Simon was just on another planet tonight. It's absolutely, yeah, it's out of control how fast he was. So. But yeah, I'd assume it'd be a bit tighter next week, and with the invert top 10 in the second race, it always throws up a spanner in the works. It depends on who gets. It's not if something happens, just when. So yeah, we just depends on who gets caught up in it, who rides their luck.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. Now, personal question: Have you ever visited the Wagga Wagga Kart Club? And if so, what do I look out for? What do I enjoy most this weekend? I'm heading down there for the Karting New South Wales Championships.
Mate, I haven't visited, no, but I'm aware that they've recently just redone the whole facility, so it should be. I know Forest KA ran there last round, and I had a look at the photos, and it looked like a nice round, nice little track. But yeah, no, can't give you any pointers on what to look for out at Wagga, unfortunately. But yeah, we're setting up to finally contest a round at Eastern Creek in a couple of weeks. So yeah, we'll get out and do some testing.
Well, if I'm honest with you, I put some feelers out this afternoon for some recommendations for eateries and food and beverage establishments. So I've had a few people come back to me on that one so far, which has been good, but not enough yet to make my mind up on what I'm going to do, especially considering it's probably only a table for one. But nonetheless, all is well. Hey, Nighty, thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Go well, and we'll catch up next week.
Yeah, see you next week, Zach.
Beautifully done. Yes, for anyone heading down southern New South Wales this weekend, Wagga Wagga Kart Club is going to be the place to be. Round one of the Karting New South Wales, event one of the Karting New South Wales Championships. It's a half and half format in every sense of the word. I'm not really sure how I feel about it, to be honest with you, but they're paying me to do both, so I can't complain. They've got half their categories running this event as a state championship, and then half coming to Mountain Valley Kart Club in Taree, on the outskirts of Taree in October for the other state championship this year. Love your work, Drew Russell. 2 state championships, 2 bills for ZW Caban. Joe Baldwin, welcome into you. Interesting night. Talk us through that 90 minutes for you, not without a couple of incidents along the way, but at least you saw the checkered flag, mate.
Well, that was a lot of that was actually self-inflicted.
No.
Clearly, but in the GT3, I run a different degree, like steering wheel degree, and I didn't change my profile on my steering wheel, and I got like halfway through the race and just I couldn't work out why the car was so evil to drive, and the penny dropped, and as soon as I changed the correct profile for the car, I got 2.5 seconds and barely got another slowdown. So right from the start, it was sort of all my own fault. So just need to do a checklist of things I've got to do when I jump into the GT3, I think.
No, mate, very nicely done. Now, talk me through the strategy play here, because obviously a little bit of that ended up being compromised by incidents, and that obviously we saw that you only still had to make 2 pit stops, but one of them was a little bit longer than you would have liked it to be, and that's what resulted in you being about 3 minutes and 18 seconds down the road on the leader at the end.
Yeah, it did, yeah. I was actually, I'd let Warren by, Warren Ibbott I think it was, and that little kink down at the end of Indianapolis there, he sort of slowed up a little bit, and I touched the brake right at the apex, and the right-hand tyres touched the curb, and it just turned hard right and slapped the wall and ripped the rear end out of it. So I ended up with like a 2-minute 14-second tow, I think, to get back to the pits. But I seen he just pitted, so I let him by because I wasn't racing him, and I was actually heading into the pits that lap anyway. So I threw away what probably should have been back end of a top 10, but I buggered it up myself by not having the right degrees in the steering wheel to start with, and just made it a monster to drive, and I was getting cranky, and I nearly jumped out a couple of times. Just the slowdowns killed me. Yeah, and every time you hit it, the slowdown, like the guys just get further and further away, and without safety cars or anything like that, you're just never going to make that time back, with the calibre of guys that were in here tonight. So there was some pretty fast characters. So, but I got into the 59s in the end. I think it was 2 laps after I changed the steering ratio, I was into the 59s. So it's probably a case of what could have been. So I guess that drops me out of the top 3 in the championship for now anyway. So we got a long road ahead if we're going to pick up the rare GT3 trophy at the end of the season, I guess.
They're hard to come by. They're hard to find. There's no doubt about that. And I guess the only other reason we didn't have a safety car is because, well, testament to everybody, we only had one maybe multi-car incident, and the rest of them were single isolated vehicle incidents. So that's a testament to the cleanliness of the contest tonight. And also, could you imagine how much time the clock would have chewed up had we had to deploy the safety car?
Oh, absolutely. We probably would have got through on one stop if that had been the case, to be honest. So it's one of those things. Like it's a 4-minute race speed lap, but I think it's like 9 minutes behind the safety car or something stupid. So you don't want to have safety cars like when we're running a week-to-week series like this. It's the idea is you if there's any incidents, just make sure guys can get through and let race control do their thing rather than throwing the yellow, I suppose. I mean, obviously, if you get a completely blocked track, you might change it. But look, it's one of those things. It's a really difficult track with the slowdowns and the off tracks, and it got so frustrating. Like there, I'm clearing an off track there again. I sort of just got past. I can't think who the guy in the yellow car was at the moment, but I just got by him and then had an off track, and that was like 2.2 seconds, and was very frustrating, but it's all right. It's Bobby Commode, he's going to keep the seat warm for me. Good on him. Yeah, so it's it's just I don't know. I'm not a fan of this track anyway, so I've got very minimal laps. The only time I do laps here is when I'm racing here. I never do practice, so it's probably on me a little bit anyway. But I had fun at the end of the race. I had fun. I wasn't enjoying the first half very much.
No, certainly didn't sound like it.
So, and to the guys that missed out on the V8 supercar service, we will make a change for next week to make sure that no one misses out. So, apologies to those guys. They know who they are, and I'll leave it at that. So, rather than dragging anything up, but we'll try and make sure that everybody gets a seat for next week.
Indeed. Very nicely done. All right, Trucker, thank you. Well done. Thoughts on Sebring next week? I mean, we saw Nick Fodiatis on the grid tonight. I'm hedging my bets that he won't be on the grid next Monday night.
I'm sure he's probably going to use next week as one of his drop rounds, but we'll try and talk him into it anyway. But I don't think we'll have much luck. It's he'll probably come and he'd probably rather join you in the commentary booth, I'd say.
Well, I'm not here next Monday night, so he might have to jump into the booth for
He might. There you go. That's. I'm sure he'd rather commentate at the drive. It's certainly not one of his favourite venues, and that's been well publicised.
That's putting it politely.
Yeah. So, but hey, look, Aragon was the same for me till I won there. So if he gets in and wins a race, he might change his mind.
Might just change his mind.
So, but all good. Thank you very much.
All right, Trucker, well done, mate. Thank you for that. Go well for the rest of the week. Good luck Friday night. Good luck Thursday night as well. And look forward to catching up next week.
Great week. Thank you, Zach.
I think we'll leave it there. Look at the time. Almost 11 o'clock. It's like a grand final night, the way in which this broadcast is dragged out tonight. But another great round. Another great night of motorsport entertainment. Chicago for the wham bam factor, and Le Mans for the cleanliness of it and the dominance of our race winner, and also the strategy play that was involved, and the little positional battles we had, particularly in the opening two stints of the race. It was all good viewing, and of course a majestic, picturesque late evening French sunset with another tip of the hat to our friends in Queensland that wouldn't bloody hell know what that is all about. All right, we're done. Let's thank the sponsors once again, because without them we just simply couldn't do what we do here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. They include Sprayton Cider, and of course the naming rights sponsor of the GT3 Series Waste Options. Our good friends at Orbic Australia. Good on you, Pete Matson, back on board with Orbic. Globesy Racing, of course. Hello, Treno. Very quick to throw me under the bus the other day when Mark Jones put up a post of me being a visitor into his house, better known as his commentary box out there at Queensland Raceway. More on that later in the week, no doubt. Also, of course, we couldn't forget to thank M-Wave Australia, and we cannot forget either to thank splash graphics. Here's a look at what's coming your way as far as the rest of week 2 is concerned. For term 2 of 2024, Leipzig Racing up-and-comers, the Van Ryn Cup. Formula V from Ostrich-Sleben in Germany, 3-race super sprint format for you, 7:45 Eastern Standard Time. And then followed by a 40-minute outing for the GT1 Civil War from that fabulous Sebring International Raceway in Florida at 9:10 Eastern Standard Time. The production car challenge this week takes us to Knockhill in Scotland for the TCRs. Sprint racing, the order of the day, the equation, and 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Liam Banks, Daniel Correa-Sar with you for that one. On then to Imola at 8:45 Eastern Standard Time for the latest round of the GT4 Challenge. And then, of course, Thursday night motorsport. It's another European double header, as is Wednesday night. We start at the Motorsport Arena in Ostrich-Sleben, Germany for 3 sprint races for Sprayton side of Formula V, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Then onto the Hungaro ring for the second round of the Wings and Slicks Super Formula Lights Cup for Sprayton Cider. Friday night, also on broadcast, the boys are back in town. The SRX Racing Series, the NASCARs, stock cars, whatever you want to call them, from the Watkins Glen Classic configuration. 3 sprint races there for you. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, they're getting underway. Bathurst Mountain Men TCR, need I say any more? Well worth the price of admission for 200 kilometres on Saturday evening from 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then next Monday night, I'm not sure who will be here with Adam Lavis, but I won't be. We'll have AM Racing first up, then Pro Split Racing for GT3, with thanks to Waste Options for Monday Night Motorsport for the first sprint round of the season from the Sebring International Raceway in Sebring, Florida. 2 by sprint races there, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is all getting underway for you. And of course, the entree to that takes us to Circuit Park Zolder for the latest round of the Super 2 and Super 3 series, and that's getting underway 7:35 Eastern Standard Time with 25 minutes on the clock. GSRC GT3 Endurance Championship, I'll get to in a moment. Actually, no, there we go. We can go to it now. We've ticked off Watkins Glen, we've ticked off Suzuka, next stop Laguna Seca, Mother's Day, 4 hours on Mother's Day. Either take your mum out for breakfast or dinner and get to the GSRC Enduro in between time from Laguna Seca. That'll be a beauty. 4 hours the equation from midday Eastern Standard Time. GSRCmerch.myshopify.com, the merch store if you want to grab some paraphernalia for Mother's Day, actually. What a wonderful present that'd be. Mum made the mistake of saying to me this morning, she said, whatever you decide to get me for Mother's Day, that'll be fine, I'll be happy. So I started rattling off all the things she doesn't like. I was like, righto, that'll be a Newcastle Knights NRL jersey or a Collingwood AFL Guernsey, given that she's an Essendon supporter. There's something from Kylie Minogue, maybe. I had an absolute field day and then was strongly advised not to give up my day job in favour of taking on a second career as a wannabe stand-up comedian. So GSRCmerch.myshopify.com, you can do your Mother's Day shopping. You can just grab some paraphernalia to chuck on and send us whilst you're enjoying the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. We would love to see it. That is all there for you to sink your teeth into, and that is testament to the great work of committee members past and present who keep that ship running. That's it from us. We are done. Just over 3.5 hours later after it started. Captivating racing on the streets of Chicago, Illinois. And of course, in the end, unfortunately, a little bit processional here at Le Mans. But the second round of the championship in the books, the second of the single race affairs, and that's important to note. 3 60-minute races, 3 90-minute races this term as a big change from what's been 460 and 290 in the past. So if nothing else, the boys are actually getting more value for money this season with an extra 30 minutes added to their racing time. A fuel race in the end, but what a night it was. We hope you've enjoyed it. Well done to the top 3 here, of course, led by the Ferrari Chris McDonald from Oscar Haynes and Dimitri Agathos. Those two had a rather quiet run, did McDonald and Haynes, but Agathos from 27th up to 3rd was the talking point of the night. We sincerely hope you've enjoyed the first night of week 2 of term 2 for 2024. We look forward to bringing you more where that came from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night with Daniel Correa, Joe Baldwin, Nick Fodiatis, Liam Banks, etc., and so forth, picking up the freight for Adam Lavis and I. If you're heading towards the Wagga Kart Club this weekend, look forward to seeing you there. If you happen to be around Wollongong on Thursday, a couple of friends and I are heading out to some of the eateries and establishments for 2UP and other things, so hopefully see you there as well. I'll be back on deck, not this time next week, but Thursday next week for Scrape Inside of Thursday Night Motorsport, but I appreciate the rest of the crew picking up the slack in my absence. On behalf of Adam Lavis and all the crew here, all the very best to everybody for Anzac Day. Of course, I was only sharing earlier this evening on socials the agenda for the day as far as the television coverage is concerned. It's endless as per usual, from dawn services right through to marches and then the Governor-General's address. So lest we forget, and a very good night to you from the Circuit de la Sarthe in Le Mans, where round 2 of the championship has been run and won. Can't wait to see what the rest of the season brings when we get the sprint racing starting next week from Sebring. Until then, on behalf of Adam Lavis and all the crew, I'm Zach Caven, wishing you a very good night.